Well, welcome everybody to our latest session of the Restoration of Cariele. As usual, we're going to do a quick recap of what occurred last session, and then we are going to get underway with tonight's session. So, last session, let's see, I will tell you guys, in looking through this session and prepping, I didn't review my last session's recording like I normally do, so maybe we'll do this a little bit different today. Is there anybody, let's start the opposite way. Is there anybody that would like to start with something important that happened last session for inspiration? Shaking things up on you guys here. Uh-oh, sounds like nobody. So are you guys all waiting for my recap and then you're like, oh, that's right, and then you remember other things that I missed? That could be, okay.
Did you say something that happened last session?
Yeah, so normally I go through and I give you guys the recap and then ask you guys if there's anything that I missed, and then you guys add things in. But is there anything that you guys want to just mention off the bat, essentially saying like, yeah, this was something really important that happened last session to get on the record?
Yeah, we got invited to a wedding, and that is really important.
That
and we're
did
gonna
happen.
go.
Yep.
All right, where was the wedding? Let's start there. Which domain invited you guys to attend this wedding?
Torheville?
Ooh, close.
Rosone or Tosin.
Thosone, yes. All right, there you go. And you guys remember who was getting married?
We don't know. It was nobility, though.
It was, yes. Yep, local families inside of the realm. So, yep, go ahead and take inspiration for that, Gordon. All right, so that was a fun little. I just wanted to see like if you guys drag your toes a little bit, but all right. So I'll do the quick recap of what occurred last week, and then see if anybody has anything else to add after. All right, so when we started off last session, you guys were in the underground Stone Crown Mountains. You guys were having just defeated the Grell philosopher in particular. With the Grell slain, the lizard folk led by the chieftain Thrask came on out of the water there and started speaking to you guys and essentially let you know that, yeah, they had spotted the Grell. It kind of came into the area. They were a little bit concerned, and so they went underwater to make sure that the Grell couldn't easily just grab them up and start attacking them. But once you guys killed the Grell, obviously they were able to come out and be safe once again. So you guys chatted with them a little bit. I believe you guys took a little bit of a rest there. You let Thrask know that your friends or miners would be coming into this area to start extracting the gold. Thrask let you know that essentially he's not, him and his people don't go north out of their waters. If they do, it's not very far out of their waters, so you have no worries about the mining crew running into them unless the mining crew goes way off basis and like comes down to the Lizard Folk area. So with that in mind, you guys made your way out of the Stone Crown Mountains. As you will recall, you had brought the Dwarven expedition there, all the miners led by Dwali, and essentially said, hang out here, we're going to go in, take care of this one last thing, and then you can come in and do the mining. So basically you just had to go outside and let them know, yeah, come on in. Once they came on in and they got over to the area with the gold, they got things set up fairly quickly. They got some tents put down. They got their picks out. They really started this process of extracting gold. And so Serena wanted to take home just a little bit of a nugget of gold. So it was a little bit of time before that was extracted. You guys then realized after some consultation with Dwali that the process of extracting this gold could either be a fast one or a slow one or kind of a medium paced one. Basically, the slower you go, the more total gold you'll get out of here because the miners themselves be very carefully extracting this to make sure they don't waste any gold. But if you wish to go faster, you could get more money quicker, but essentially the vein would run drier sooner because some of the gold would be kind of destroyed in the process of trying to go quickly. So with that decision, you guys decided to go the slow route. So you'll be extracting 1d4 gold bars per season, and you're expecting that to last you for about 15 seasons based on Dwali's estimation. So the dwarves are very happy at this point as they're getting the process underway. They're extracting this gold. They're going to be making pretty good money. You guys will be making hopefully pretty good money. And yeah, so essentially it was a beneficial arrangement for all around. With that complete, you guys made your way back to Carolinian. Once you got there, you did some selling off of the items that you actually didn't need. So selling off some of those potions. You guys looked through about settling the debt that Blixel owes and whether or not the coin was enough quite there or not. Ultimately decided not to pay it just yet, but you're getting close to having that total 3,300 to pay off the debt. You guys then had your latest session of council. So you guys had the decision of where to meet as a council, as this is the first session you're meeting without Vin as the monarch. You guys decided to stay in the throne room and meet the petitioners there. Lord Tannen was able to route all of the folks in to meet you guys. You guys ended up meeting 4 different petitioners this time. You met a hunter who was looking for some resources, some funds to assist in a hunting competition. You guys decided not to sponsor this at that time, primarily because you just felt like you didn't have the free funds. You met with a diplomat from Thosone of the aforementioned wedding invitation, and you guys decided that you did want to take up this wedding invitation and attend this wedding, which you know is sometime in the winter, but you haven't gotten an exact date yet, so those details to come. You guys then were able to meet with a couple of other petitioners. First, you met with a Velma McKinnon, who was a sort of a researcher by trade. She indicated that if it's something's written in a book or in a scroll somewhere, that she can basically find that information, or if she can't, she knows like where to look to find that information. So think of this as somebody who can answer a lot of questions, and if you had questions that needed answered, she would be a good person to hire. But ultimately, you guys decided that since Celine already has a lot of these same skills, and since she loves spending all of her downtime actions doing research in the library, you probably don't need to hire Velma McKinnon. So let her know that no, you are not interested in her services. And then lastly, you met with a very interesting woman who had a strange countenance about her by the name of Revy. Almost immediately when she stepped into the room, Blixel was using his divine sense to see if Revy was undead, which makes sense because she certainly had this ghostly ethereal presence to her, though she was very much a physical being and not incorporeal. She had a very weird like walk or a gait to her as she approached, and kind of very flexible, almost like acrobatic in a way in her movements. Very exotic and strange, you might say. Long flowing white hair with orange eyes. She indicated that she was looking for a place in the area that she could do her research, which she indicated was sort of a mix of sorcery and alchemy, and wanted a private place that she wouldn't be bothered all of the time. You guys debated amongst yourselves as far as how exactly, or if you had any kind of place to do this with. Maybe the hamlet, but you know the dwarves are staying there, and then maybe you could send her to Celine's grandparents' chapel, but ultimately decided that probably wouldn't be the best bet because it's not necessarily Celine's to sell. And then also if the followers of Roranil ever decided that they wanted to use that place once again, it might become a whole thing. So with that in mind, you guys were wrapping up your petitioner sessions, let all of the public out after there was a little bit of a, basically letting them know that the session was complete. And then you guys had a little bit of conversation with Lord Tannen. We advanced some more days to get us closer to the end, and then each of you guys got a briefing for your specific role. So guys, that's a quick recap. Did that spark any memories? Does anybody have anything other than what's already mentioned that you would like to add?
I would just say that a lot of that was known, I think, to us. I just think it's like one of those, when did this happen and this, that, kind of thing. So, yeah, thanks for the recap.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know sometimes it doesn't really, and I definitely threw you guys for a curveball to just ask you right off the bat. Probably no one was ready. I just wanted to see if anything really stuck out. So yeah, no worries. If nobody has anything to add, no worries at all. We will go ahead and jump into our session here, folks.
I just wanted to add that the person with the Nihiladium came back with a bunch of stuff that we can make with the Nihiladium.
She did indeed. Do you happen to remember her name or any of the things she said she could make?
She could make warm stones. I remember that much.
Arrows.
Yeah, rods and the Nihiladium laced arrows.
Excellent. Yeah, inspiration for Blixel with a little assist there from Serena. I heard that in the background. Excellent. All right, so yeah, go ahead and take inspiration, Blixel. Anybody else have anything like that? All right, folks, and let's go ahead and get us back over to, technically you guys are going to be in the throne room, so I'm going to throw you guys there. Okay, so you guys have been using the throne room here as sort of like a meeting spot and petitioner kind of thing. So after you guys have gotten your briefings, Lord Tannen has essentially asked for you guys to all meet here in the throne room at the counter, the tables, and just have some discussions. Obviously, if you guys want to move to the council chambers, you can always do that as well. But essentially, he just wants to kind of sit down and touch base with you guys and go over some things. So, with all of you guys seated at the table, perhaps just chit-chatting with one another and kind of discussing maybe the wedding or maybe some other things outstanding that you want to try to tackle before too long, you will notice that Lord Tannen enters the room, passing by a couple of the guards who obviously recognize him. As he approaches closer to the table, you'll notice he has all of these sort of sheafs of paper, and he will lay those down in front of the table. And then you see he looks up at you all with a little bit of like a nervous smile, and he says, "Oh, so much to do, so much to do. Greetings, counselors. It is good to see you once again. I'm glad you were all able to make your time here, and we have many things to discuss, of course, and I'm just trying to make sure we have all of our, well, I's dotted and T's crossed, as it were."
Sure. We value your expertise in such matters, Lord Tannen.
You see he gives you a little smile and nods once again. Well, as you likely know, today is the 31st of Pasfiel. We are in the last month of the fall season. There is only today and then tomorrow, and then, as you are all very much aware, at least in world, but maybe not necessarily outside of a world, right? But he will go on to explain that the first day, so in normal, real world time, every day is contained in a month. But here in this world, in the world of Cerilia, there are actually a few days, I believe it's 4 exactly, that fall outside of a month. So each month is 32 days, but there are 4 special days. So you can think of these as individual days that aren't contained in a month, and each one usually has a significance that is celebrated or observed at least. So this, in 2 days' time, you will be at what is known as the Day of Rebirth. So essentially, this is the first day of a brand new year. So you can almost think as tomorrow as being New Year's, though they don't necessarily celebrate it like that here in Cariele, or really in Anweir. But it's definitely a time of the year that everybody recognizes as like a fresh start kind of thing. So there's a little bit in common like that, but obviously, no one's staying up until the night hours and celebrating that way. So once Lord Tannen provides you guys with this information, you'll notice he will smile once again. He will say, "There's already been many tavern owners and other proprietors in the city who are celebrating the Day of Rebirth coming up, and well, of course, they are offering folks to come in and share a drink with them and a cheer, and there's just been much merriment throughout Carolinian at the moment, and I'm sure in the countryside as well, though I don't get there very often. So yes, just wanted to make sure that you all take some time to celebrate the new year and think about what exactly you have accomplished so far and what it is that you hope to accomplish in the future." And you see he looks at you as his fingers already kind of like moving on another sheet of paper.
Oh yeah, I'm ready to celebrate. It's had its ups and downs, but look at where we are now.
Yeah, wasn't there that tavern that I promised to go to? They were having some problems, people saying they were poisoned or something like that, and it wasn't. I can't remember what the name of that place, but I did promise I'd go, so heck.
Yes, that is right. But if you remember, counselor, do you remember why you promised to go?
Yeah, they wanted to go ahead and give us like some free food or something like that, if I remember right. But I said something in regards to we could go there just to kind of show face to kind of help one of the community get a better reputation because something happened to their beer or something like that.
You notice Lord Tannen nodding as you're saying this. Yes, yes, you are right, Counselor Tevere. It was Jade Carthright, the innkeeper, but she came to us because several patrons got sick after they drank that batch of ale. She asked that after the ale was sent here and the testing was done, where our staff was able to determine that it was indeed off, and that is why some of the folks got sick. She asked that any of you that you could, to attend and just show support and make sure that everybody in the town realizes that her establishment is quite proper and clean, and they have nothing to worry about. So, yes, if you're interested, you will recall that Mrs. Carthright changed the name of her inn. I think she changed it a second time, if I'm not mistaken, but I can certainly get the name of that inn if you wish.
Well, yeah, at some time. I mean, I just want to keep my promise. That's kind of important, I think. And did she mention beer? Of course, right?
You notice him nodding once again. Yeah, he nods once again. Oh, yes, I am sure she would be happy to have you. Yes, let me see. I know I have this written down somewhere. Oh, how funny. The new name is the Half Full Tankard. Interesting. But yes, if you're interested in attending, I can make sure that some of the guards are prepared to escort you if you wish, unless you wish to rough it.
Oh, I don't need any escort. They may, guards sometimes go into a tavern. I'd be fine by myself. I don't need nobody. I don't need any drinking company except for my buddies here in case if anyone's interested.
Yeah, sure, I'll go. I mean, it's a horrible name for a tavern. It makes you think they're not giving you very much.
It depends on how big the mugs are.
Oh, that's true. Maybe they're huge.
Maybe it means that the ale is so good that as soon as you get it, you drink half of it.
I think it means that unfortunately she has poor business instincts. I'll go.
There may be some truth to that too.
Excellent. Well, I am so glad that you have all got down the celebration part of this. That is great to hear. So tomorrow will be one of the busier tavern nights of the year. So yes, take in the sights and enjoy yourself. I'm sure there'll be quite much to offer. But if I may be so bold, being the treasurer of our land, I would like to focus on that future. So a couple of days' time, we'll be in a brand new year, and we really need to look to the future of how exactly we are running Cariele and what our plans are. You'll notice that he rolls out these maps that you are all too accustomed to at this point, and he starts kind of creasing and folding them down in different areas to try to straighten them out. I'm going to go ahead and move you guys over to the regional map, so the one that's closer focused in on the direct areas. So as this is rolled out, he will say, I know this is sometimes difficult to think about, to focus on, but I posed this question to you last time. Where do you see the realm being in 5 or 10 years? And of course, that's a difficult question to answer, but it's one that we must certainly think about. Right now, we have these 3 provinces, of course, and this has been the form and shape of Cariele for some time, but it doesn't necessarily have to stay that way. We can decide exactly how it is that we would like to try to advance, but anything we do must have a plan. So I want to say that there are no such thing as bad ideas here. I would like to hear all of your ideas. Where do you imagine us going into the future? What does Cariele look like? What does this council look like, perhaps? Do you have any thoughts?
Well, I think the last we talked was to strengthen our own borders and troops and economy as much as we can before, hopefully, we even think about expanding our borders.
I concur. We have tried to get a foothold in, a couple times now, and it's not going well. I'd like to see more extensive armed forces in each of our provinces before we even consider expanding our borders.
Well, I think one of the challenges we have in the near future is kind of getting a better lay of the land on some of the actions that's been going on. I mean, for an example, I remember that the dwarves were actually trying to hire mercenary groups, and that's unusual for them. That was a little while back, but obviously, if they're looking to, stockpile mercenary groups or war fighters and stuff, maybe they've got some concerns. I mean, I think right now, in the short term, over the next year to 3 years at least, we need to build our relationships with other folks in the region. But I'm very curious on why, they're trying to fortify. I mean, dwarves don't normally reach out to other folks.
Lord Tannen nods at this.
The western border has been a little tumultuous, so I suppose if
Say the
they
least.
were to attack again, I wouldn't have any concerns about taking over one of their provinces, but at the very least, we need to get some troops over there, be prepared.
Well, this is excellent. This is excellent. I'm very glad to hear your input, all the input that's been offered so far. So, if I might summarize what I've heard then, so what you're saying is that one, we need to build up our forces, and two, we want to try to make more allies. So let's take that second question first. More allies. Currently, we are have a permissive alliance with Moriad to our south, and this wedding to the north in Thosone is certainly an opportunity to try to forge maybe a permissive alliance with Thosone in due time. If that is complete, I wouldn't be so bold as to say it makes Twerhiaville a guaranteed ally, but since Twerhiaville and Thosone are fairly close, mainly to the rulership relationship, half brother and half sister on either of those domains, I think if we make good terms with Thosone and we don't do anything to aggravate Twerhiaville, then we could almost think as those two realms with Moriad as all being fairly stable borders. We know that the border into the lost realm of Markazor is not one that can be gone over land, and if there is some kind of a path under the mountains, nobody's ever found it. So that is pretty much a solid border as well. That simply leaves Thurazor and then the 5 peaks, our west and our southwest. I know you said we have to really strengthen our forces before we consider expanding, and I'm not even necessarily suggesting that we have to expand. It's just something to think about. But when you say expand our forces, when I look over our roster of troops here right now, we have 4 different units. How many units do you think that we should be growing to? Obviously, knowing each of those is going to come with a cost. I'm trying to get a gauge of how much of an impact on the treasury this would be on an ongoing basis, so we know how much money we need to be bringing in to support such a force.
Well, my first thought was to double it.
Double it. Okay, so right now we have 4 units, 3 of our own, and then 1 unit of mercenaries, and it sounds like you would like to go up to 8 units?
Well,
I think
yeah, sorry, go ahead, Libby. Serena, this is your world.
I think we should have infantry in every province, and preferably archers as well, but some of those specialty units would be ideal to have on hand and ready to go as well. And hopefully someday that could be turned towards the guild.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't say that.
Oh, okay. All right. He takes back that look of shock and puzzlement.
I would not say it to him. I would say it to the rest of them.
Fair enough. All right. So you notice him kind of looking at his sheets of paper once again, and he'll say, okay, so on the surface, if we were to hire 4 additional units, either that's infantry or archers or whatever the mix of that is, on just an estimate, we're looking at about 8 gold bars or so of muster cost, and then 4 additional gold bars in maintenance, somewhere around there as a rough estimate. So just as a reminder, right now our soldier payroll is 4 gold bars. That would put us up to 8. And right now we checked the books, and I remember last time you were asking me, based on everything that we know, if we could get a good estimate for how much gold we would bring in and be available in our coffers. And I gave you sort of a snap thought of somewhere between 6 and 12. Well, I can say that I've had an opportunity to run the numbers a little bit more accurately at this point, and while it could certainly be 6 to 12, I will say if fortune was really against us, and there's no reason to suspect it is, but if it was, there's a possibility we could actually lose money. But if fortune is in our hand, we could actually make significantly more, maybe 15 gold bars, maybe even more.
I wouldn't expect us to muster all of these tomorrow, but depending on how our fortune holds up, we could add a few as we go.
You'll notice he nods again. Okay. So should we try to make those plans now? Like, do we want to plot out when we're going to hire these troops, where they're going to be positioned, or do we want to leave those specifics for a later time?
I can certainly outline my ideal setup, but I'd love to hear from everyone else if they have any opinions.
I think a concentration on the western border is smart, considering they're the aggressors. It seems like we still haven't sent anyone to the Goblin as like an ambassador or anything like that. So theoretically, they could still hold a grudge and come after us again if that was really what they were trying to do.
Yeah, it's a good point. We should at least shore up Riverford and what's that on the Meliwedi?
Melivienne?
Yes, Melivienne. Because
I'd
like
like
we
to-
said, the east side's pretty good.
Yeah, I'd like to move the archers to Melivienne, and then it would be ideal to release the mercenaries at some point and replace them with infantry.
You notice Lord Tannen nodding. I'm not very versed in the ways of war, but from what I know with mercenaries is if you just release them, they have a terrible habit of turning bandit. So usually you have to pay them off to be sure that they don't do that. Is that something you wish to plot up? I can try to get some numbers, but I'm guessing it would probably cost us about 2 gold bars. Basically, we pay them for a whole nother season, say we don't need their services, and then they can leave the land, but that usually will mollify them because then they've gotten a whole extra season's pay that they didn't even have to work for, and they kind of go their way.
I
Yeah,
think
let's-
this probably needs to wait until after we get some other soldiers, get some first, right? And then kind of, because you never know if we may need mercenaries until then.
Yeah, we wouldn't do it until then. But I wish we could just hire them on as infantry.
You notice Lord Tannen like kind of scratches his chin. That's I don't know that that's typically done. I mean, you could certainly try. I just the loyalty of mercenaries. They're usually mercenaries for a reason. They like to just get paid and then kind of move on. Getting them to be loyal troops. I mean, some of them I'm sure are not even from Cariele, so they don't have any blood ties to the land.
Yeah.
Okay, well, at least we have the start of a plan then. So, if we're thinking to slowly build up our troops, if I might be so bold, I would suggest that we try to increase our income in line with as we're adding troops. So that way, when we hire these troops, we're not constantly going more and more into the red. Does that make sense?
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. Well, with that in mind, we need to figure out ways to make more money. You've already done an amazing job securing this gold mine under the Stone Crown Mountains. I mean, wow, what a lucky find down there. I wonder though, being how difficult things are around this area, is it make sense to perhaps hire explorers to look through those tunnels? Do we think maybe there's any other places where there might be gold down there? I know you guys came up with this plan and extracting the money slowly, and about 15 seasons worth of money is the estimate, and that's wonderful for quite a bit of time here in the future, but I always like to try to plan very far ahead. So, well, that's almost 4 years. I always have that 5-10 year plan. So once we get accustomed to that gold coming in from the mine all the time, once it's gone, it's really going to feel like a loss. If does it make sense to try to hire people to look for other areas down there?
It's dangerous, very dangerous down there.
I'm fine with that, but I'm kind of more interested in the what was the name of that material that we literally just talked about?
Nihiladium?
Yeah. I feel like it'd be interesting to find more of a source of that.
Oh, actually, I think we already have a source of that, but it's just not in our land. So that brings with it some complications. But yes, I mean, I know we had a petitioner. I think it was the Goblin Gizelix. We could go back and see if she's interested in going to get procure more. I could certainly reach out and start that process if you like.
And Adam, was that in the? I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but Pinel?
Yep, Punal. Yep, that's where it was.
So that's more of a reason to.
Yeah, because we went in there basically behind enemy lines, kind of deal, without them knowing. We went into their area to explore.
You did, but as a quick reminder, the Five Peaks is kind of unique in the fact that it's very chaotic and not all of those provinces are ruled by the same leader. So it's not like a unified realm. Usually each province has like its own chieftain or shaman that kind of leads that province, and they change pretty frequently. It's like very bloody there. So yes, you went behind enemy lines, but it's not like entering a civilized nation's territory, if that makes you feel any better about it.
Yeah, I don't care about their enemy lines. I mean, we didn't get caught, so we're good.
Oh, there you go, says the stealthy guy. Yeah, okay.
But something to consider is that our ventures to try to establish a guild holding over there have failed repeatedly, and the more we keep kicking the hornet's nest, the more likely it is that we're going to eventually attract someone's attention that we may not want. Perhaps our recent failures have alerted them to our intent to encroach in their lands more than they understood before.
Gold it is. I think that if we're going to discourage the massive amount of deforestation in our country, we're going to need to come up with another resource that we can export.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Get something else, like get some lithium batteries or something.
Or sun rods.
Wormstones, I'm telling you.
Hey,
It gets cold here, but farther north it gets even colder.
Adam, I got a general question for you, right? Where is the unstable land-to-land area that may not even be part of us, right? I remember you talking about way up north, you got the orcs and everything. If I remember right, they were going into the Elven regions and stuff, at least at one time. But where's what do we know as, our players would know as the unstable regions?
Unstable. And by that, do you just mean that they're not civilized lands?
Is anybody at war with each other?
So right now, there's no out and out wars, is how I will frame it. There might be little skirmishes across the borders in your nearby realms. What you do know is that Twerhiaville and the Gorgon's Crown is kind of they're always at each other's throats kind of deal. So there's always a constant worry that there's going to be an attack from the Gorgon's Crown into Twerhiaville. Because Merkalad and Markazor are puppets of the Gorgon, it's always possible that they could march on Twerhiaville. So you can think of basically all of these lands as being hostile enemies to most everybody around you. Five Peaks, again, very chaotic. Everything here is, anything could happen at any time. It could be peaceful for 5 years, and then suddenly it could be just constant war for another 5 years. You just never know. Thurazor's goblins, so they're kind of always at like they like to push people's buttons, and they're aggressive and they like to fight, but they also do follow the laws to their own extent, so they're not as chaotic, you might say, as some other areas. And then I think what you're referring to earlier is north of Thosone is the Reuric lands, and that's much more kind of like wild lands where it's not nearly as civilized and things. They're not necessarily barbarians, but you can think of more as like nomads, free riders, that kind of thing.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to see if there was anything that we may get pulled into because of, an alliance with another country that may bring us into it, right?
Yes, and that's really good to think about. So again, I'll remind you of the different types of alliances. There's a permissive alliance, there's a full alliance. Those are the two most common. And then there's the oath of fealty, which probably won't come into play at least anytime real soon. But right now, you guys only have the permissive alliance with Moriad. So even if Moriad were to be attacked, you're under no obligation to provide soldiers to them, because that's not the type of alliance that you have with them. Same way where if you guys are attacked, they're not obligated to come to your aid either. You essentially just have the assurance that they're not going to attack you, you're not going to attack them, you're on generally friendly terms, where if you guys like wanted to trade with them, they'd be okay with that. But yeah, it's a very basic kind of friendship, you could say. You don't have a relationship with Thoso, but you're planning on maybe trying to make one after the wedding. So again, unless you go all the way up to a full alliance, which means like, hey, we got each other's back, we're blood brothers in a way. You guys get attacked, we're going to help you. We get attacked, we want you to help us. Unless you get to that level, you don't really have to worry about being pulled into other people's wars for the most part.
Cool. Thanks for the summary.
Yep. All right. So as you guys are discussing these different topics, then Lord Tannen will say, counselors, do I have your permission to clear the room for a moment?
Okay.
All right, you'll notice he stands and he walks over to the guards that are positioned around this area. I imagine there's probably like 8 total guards in this room, and he just kind of asks them all to leave. You notice them kind of look at him, then they look over towards you guys, and they're just like, okay. And then they make their way out, and then you notice he closes the door behind, and you'll notice he will walk up and he'll sit back at the table and he'll say, well, to be honest, I think we need to discuss the very, just have to be very frank here. And being the treasurer, I need to ask all of these kind of questions. And I think it's pretty obvious based on past association that there's a bit of a lack of trust in the guilds here in Cariele, and a bit of animosity between your council and their guilds, we could say. I just have to ask, do we anticipate that there's going to be any kind of friction between those two sides? Should we start planning for that inevitability, or are we trying to do everything we can to stay on their good side?
I would plan for the eventuality that there might be some friction. We're trying to be respectful, but I don't know if we see eye to eye on everything.
Here's part of the big problem is I think the guild has taken a lot of the, when we're looking at making coins for, Cariele and everything, part of the problem is the guild takes a lot of that for themselves. And so even though, they're real powerful and everything, I don't expect anything to happen soon, but I also can't expect anything not to happen in the future, right? Because you can't keep building a city if you're only getting half your coins. I don't know what the numbers are, but
You'll notice him kind of slowly nodding once again. And then you see he kind of looks around, and you can see there's like a little bit of nervousness to him. And he says, well, academically, let's just talk about some things that have happened in other places, right? So you may not be aware of this, but the regent of a land that is in control of the army, they have the ability to, for lack of a better word, use the army to destroy the guild or temple buildup or law holdings in a land. So if a regent should happen to want to do that, they could break down quite a bit of buildup from years and years fairly quickly. In fact, in lands where those holdings are not fortified, like Cariele, for example, those holdings aren't fortified. It's the regent, if they so desired, could essentially declare war on the guild and then break the guild down with their military units. Now, of course, that usually leads to some oddities and uncomfortableness, but it has happened in the past. So there's that, and you'll notice he kind of looks around to see if any of you guys are asking questions.
Well, why didn't the uncle do that?
I think he was under payroll.
Well, here in Cariele, the guilds do have quite a lot of money, and if a regent were to do this, obviously they would become very much an enemy of that guild overnight, and the guild would certainly take counter steps. Could be up to almost anything. I mean, regents have been assassinated for doing such things, but I'm just throwing it out there as academic possibility.
So Marina would get assassinated, not us.
Well, she's who we would have to convince about any hypothetical that we might think about, right, Tannen?
You notice Lord Tannen nodding. He says, yes, that is true. While General Serena here is in control of the forces on paper, of course, all of those decisions can be vetoed by the regent. So if the regent were to say no to a specific order or a command like that, she could stop that from happening, of course. Another thing, much less aggressive though, that has also happened in other areas is, well, there's a lot of competition. The guilds in here in Cariele, for example, there are other guilds nearby, for example, in Thosone, that are very competitive with the guilds here in Cariele. You might not know, but the guilds here in Cariele, owned by Miele, they stretch much farther beyond Cariele's borders. They have guilds also in Thosone. And of course, there's a lot of competition there. What has happened in other situations is sometimes a guild will decide to try to move the competition closer to home, you might say. And sometimes regents have even fostered those kind of ideas.
Healthy competition.
Whoop, I didn't hear that one. Do you want to repeat that?
It's healthy when there's competition on the market.
You'll notice Lord Tannen nodding. Yes, exactly. So I just want to make sure you're aware of all possibilities, because any of these kind of things might just happen. And then, we would have to deal with the reality on the ground. But do you have any questions about any of those kind of things or any thoughts?
So let's just say hypothetically, when we're at a wedding or at a party, and only having a little bit of alcoholic beverage, right? Maybe we can talk about our mutual interest in that area of guildship. Is that what you mean?
Hypothetically speaking, that would be an excellent time to rub elbows with those types of people.
Get kind of an idea if we're fighting this alone or fighting it, with some support.
Will the guild from here in Cariele be at the wedding?
I do not have the full roster of everybody that was invited. I could certainly find that out for you, but I don't know. Let me jot that down. You see, he takes a quill and scratches on the parchment.
Hey, Adam, can I do an inside check now that he's brought up the competing guilds? I'd like to know if he's favoring a side, like a guild, a change of guild in Cariele, or if he's trying to read us that we like the guild in Cariele. Or no, I want to read him. Am I going to read that he wants a guild change, or he wants the guild to stay in Cariele?
Sure, yeah, blind check. Hard to say. I mean, he's using a whole lot of words. It certainly sounds like he's talking in a complicated manner, but you're not getting a strong read one way or the other.
Are the blogging guilds specifically in other countries, are they more responsible with their stewardship of the environment than the one we have here?
And you're asking that just in general, not to Lord Tannen, right?
Sure.
So
I assume you would know more than Lord Tannen.
So I guess what I'd say is what Serena would know is very little, right? I would say that based on just talking with people and the times that you've been in the capital, you don't get the strong feeling that there's like a ton of ethical loggers out there. That's not really like a thing. Right now in this kind of day and age, people think that there's like endless trees and endless animals and they'll never run out. So there's not really a ton of concept of we need to kind of like conserve and reduce our usage.
Are some countries more magical than others in terms of like?
Yes, absolutely. So, for example, on your northeast border there, Twerhiaville, that is an elven land. And I mentioned this to you guys before, but I don't expect you to remember this at any time. Because elves as a people live within nature, like they don't cut trees down to build their houses and that sort of thing. They essentially just build their cities, in fact, like in the trees, and have like rooftop homes a lot of times, or other ways, and build their homes into the nature. When they advance their lands, increasing that first number, the second number does not go down, essentially meaning they're not destroying the trees by doing that. So if you look over 2 provinces over, for example, where the capital of Twerhiaville is, you'll notice Quimbeer, that province, is a 6-5. You won't see 6-5s generally anywhere in like human lands, because to get a 6 on that first number, the second number is probably going to be a 1, right? Like if you notice Riverford's a 5-2 or Melivien's a 5-2, a 6-5 means not only is it highly populated with elves, it also is massively forested.
Would the regent have enough manpower to make any such destruction without risk or danger?
And again, based on that tone of voice, I'm assuming you're asking Lord Tannen?
Yeah, to Lord Tannen.
All right, so you'll see he kind of nods slowly. He says, do you mean like here in Cariele, is there a way to advance without harming the land? Is that what you're asking?
No, if we were to have issues with the guild and wish to dismantle them, don't they also have fighting forces that would
Technically,
fight
no.
our army? No.
Technically, no, counselor. They, in order for them, they have what's the best way to phrase this? They have loyalists. They have people on an individual or small group basis, where if they were to say, hey, we we don't like how things are going, and we need to get an issue solved, they could probably round up people. But these are cutthroats, thugs, bandits, those kind of people. An actual fighting force they don't have. In the past, when they've needed one, they would hire mercenaries in the land. Hiring mercenaries, though, that is can be essentially stopped by the regent. If the regent does not give them permission to hire the mercenaries, then it's much more difficult for someone who owns only a holding and not the province to actually get those forces there. So it's there are certain steps that a regent can take to slow things down. And of course, if the holding started to try to hire mercenaries and word got to the regent, they could of course destroy the holding, and then that would disband the forces.
We passed through a logging camp and it was armed to the teeth.
Well, if by individuals or say woodcutters, that sort of thing, yes, they might even have some hired soldiers, but really these aren't soldiers. They're more like guardsmen. They don't make up an actual army unit, a fighting force, as it were. So what I mean by this is that if you were to take, or hypothetically, academically, if you were to take some kind of aggressive action towards the guild in these lands, their retribution against you would not come in the form of suddenly a bunch of soldiers being in our lands. It would be more or less individuals or small groups they likely would ask to attack us. They might ask one of their allies to attack us. That's certainly possible. They might also do other underhanded things like assassinations. They might try that. Thievery. They could. There's things they could certainly do, but out and out war wouldn't come directly from them. They would have to get another domain to agree to start that war for them, if that makes sense.
This is excellent news in the hypothetical world that we are dealing with.
Yes, and you'll notice he nods once again. Indeed, of course, if a hypothetical guild was to start suspecting something like this of happening, they could take steps to fortify their holdings. almost like building, you could think of it as similar to building a castle for a province, but it fortifies the holding, the supply lines, those types of things. At that point, you can't simply destroy it, even with your armies. You actually have to lay siege to it to try to destroy it. So thankfully, or unthankfully, depending on how you look at it, that's never been a concern here in Cariele, because the guilds have always had a lot more soft power than they've had military power, and they control things by pulling strings in the background. As I mentioned, the guilds here, they have the guild control in Cariele, but their holdings stretch from Thosone down to as far as Alamie, if memory serves.
All right. Well, we have a lot to bring to the region.
You'll notice that he will nod once again. Yes, perhaps you do. If the regent was fully in line with whatever thoughts you have on the matter, well, that would certainly make things much easier. But I suppose that's enough academic talk. We should get down to some real business. So I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I think I at least have a little bit of an idea of your thoughts here. You guys want to slowly build up the armed forces here in Cariele in a defensive manner, and see what else happens. Things happen in the future, of course, but that will be what I will be preparing for, is that we should expect to see some mustering of forces over the next few seasons. More short-term, though. Of course, I know you guys have already tried to get a bit of a foothold in Punal, and that has not worked out to our advantage. Do you have ideas as far as what you're going to do in the more immediate term? Are you looking to try the same thing again, or do you have other thoughts?
Well, we got to do something. The other options were costly, and the reason why we actually went for Punal was it seemed reasonable to do financially.
Was there anybody that we've talked to before for an expedition of some sort that seemed, since we found this one here, was potentially beneficial to us? Was there one that maybe skips our mind that we may want to revisit or reconsider?
You notice Lord Tannen nodding once again. I could certainly review the documentation of the past petitioners and see if anything comes to mind, but does anybody else have thoughts on that?
I remember something about up in the mountains or something. Wasn't there some trouble or something up there?
You'll notice he's nodding. Yes. You're talking about the potential giants in the Stone Crown Mountains and the rocks that had fallen down and the lizard folk who visited us as a petitioner?
Yes, exactly. By the way, thanks for jogging my memory. Was the lizard folks at all related to the lizard folks that we just helped out? Was it the same tribe, or however they build themselves in a community?
I thought their tribe was somewhere in like a swampy forest area near the south, not specifically underground, but close in geographical area, I suppose.
Maybe they're cousins. Maybe they're second cousins. I don't know.
You notice Lord Tannen nodding. Oh, yes, curious for sure. Well, is there anything else immediate you wish to speak with, or can we move over to our tax statement?
Yeah, let's see what we got.
Excellent. Well, as you know, the tax collection is currently underway. The tax collectors are out in force, and we're seeing what we can get. I do have some estimates here, and we can look over this, and we can see how things are looking. All right, so out of character, guys, what I'm going to show you here is a tax statement for the realm. So what I've done here is I'm going to walk you guys through this process once. Then you're going to let me know whether you enjoy this part or not. You might say, this is just all bookkeeping, you don't like this, and we'll skip it in the future. But I wanted to make sure you understand how this works, and then we're going to kind of go from there. So I've got your 3 provinces listed here. As you will remember, the NRC has blessed your 3 provinces. The benefits of the Blessed Domain spell are that when you roll for taxes and when you collect Regency, you get to consider the province and the holdings as one level higher. So that has done quite a bit of work here in helping you guys out to potentially get some more money. So if we look at the first province, Melivienne, you'll notice domain power is now a 9, was a 7, but it's blessed, so now it's a 9. Your GB income or gold bar income is going to be 1d6 plus 1. So we're going to go through, we're going to roll these out, we're going to update, and then we're going to see where you guys fall. So why don't we take turns? Who would like to do the first roll for some gold bars of a 1d6 plus 1?
Well, that would be me. I'm feeling very lucky today. I'm waiting. I'm going to roll an 8 on this 1d6 plus 1 thing.
That would be insane. All right, so that's 5 gold bars of collection.
Better than half. Better than half.
All right, who would like to roll for Mountain's Edge, a 1d4?
I'll do it.
All right, excellent. And then we've got Riverford, another 1d6 plus 1. Someone can go ahead and roll that.
Sure, I'll do it.
Okay, so that's our 3 provinces gold bar collection, and then we have to roll for the gold mine extraction. That's another 1d4. So I think only Gordon and Serena haven't rolled yet. One of the two of you.
Go ahead, Serena. I rolled on Punal badly, so I'm still recovering.
You don't want. I rolled on Puno badly before. You don't want me to roll this.
Okay. All right, I'll do it. How about that?
Who's due for a good roll? That's who we should be asking.
I've been due for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so I'm going to update our sheet and we can see where we stand at the moment. So you can see that you guys have collected 5 gold bars for Melivienne, 3 for Mountain's Edge, 5 for Riverford. That's 13, of course. And then you did 4 for the mine. We're up to 17. And then this next part is the decree-free action. So as Lord Tannen's kind of going through the books and kind of showing you how a lot of this works, he then says, I can't believe I almost forgot to mention this. I have discovered some good news. You see, here in Carolinian, one of the noble families, a lesser noble family, not particularly well known, well, the patriarch of the family recently passed away, and his home has been sitting there for a couple of months now, kind of just sitting there with no activity. No one has come to speak on this. No one has come to do anything about it. And so I started looking through some of the books, and I got some folks to help me look through some of the rosters and the registrars of family records and so forth. It turns out that this patriarch was the last of his line. I believe his 2 sons died in traveling as adventurers in the past. Well, all of that is to say that legally there's nothing stopping us from assessing there is no heir, so we will claim those monies and use them for the benefit of the realm. Of course, should we choose to do this, there's always the possibility that down the road it could cause some problems if there is a long lost heir, for example, that we haven't found, or if some other noble says that maybe that they had an agreement with that noble and that they should be able to get it should he pass away. It's can be somewhat complicated, but in the short term, if we were to seize these assets, I estimate after selling, liquidating, we would recover somewhere between 1 and 6 gold bars. Is this something that you're interested in pursuing?
Absolutely.
Well, so what is the normal standard? I mean, I would imagine this isn't the first time it's happened. So, is there an average waiting period before we could seize? And have we met that period?
There is not an official legal waiting period, and unfortunately, Counselor, this is one of those areas that we would call very much a gray area. The law on this is very vague and open to interpretation, and Well, we can certainly seize it, and we would certainly be within our rights to do so. But if later down the line someone could produce documentation, this could lead to some hurt feelings, or us having to perhaps pay a small penalty or a payment to just assuage the fear, anger of another noble. It's really hard to say. It's very much a gray area.
And how long ago did this person pass away?
Let's see, checking my records. Little less than 2 months. So mechanically, out of character, what I'm telling you is this is something that you can do every season. The way it's described is using tariffs or seizing assets or other odd findings, you might say. But essentially, in the background, there's a percentage chance that something bad happens if you choose to do this. So it's up to you guys. Usually the thing bad that happens, it's not like everybody dies. It's nothing catastrophic, but it could be, making an enemy or, having a rival appear. Like there's things that can certainly happen.
And Adam, are you prepared to describe this this land for us? And the reason why I'm asking is the person that just says, "Hey, if you can find a spot for me," right? What I'm
So
trying
this
to
is
find out.
not this is not a land. Don't think of it as like a manor or an estate. This
Okay.
is like a really nice home in Carolinian. So think of this as like a wealthy home, like in the rich area of Carolinian, that's currently abandoned because the guy died.
Okay, all right.
With no will.
With no will that could be found in the registrar.
Yeah, I say we do it. That sounds like a Monday problem. If they come back and bitch and complain, we'll be like, hey, well, show me
Yeah.
documentation.
Good enough for me.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you guys, but maybe we should do something like take it now, but do some sort of, I don't know what legal is, but somebody has 1 year to argue the point or something like that, because 2 months just doesn't seem like a long time to get messages out.
Setting it aside and trying not to spend it until this can be sorted out seems like a wise idea.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that.
I'm with you, Blixel. That's a Monday problem. Let's roll the dice.
I'll say it sounds like the council is in agreement to take this action. So who would like to roll the 6? I think Cerilia, the only one that hasn't rolled yet.
Let's go.
Good, then we won't be on the hook for much.
Okay, excellent. So that is 3 gold bars that will be accumulated from the sale of the assets of that manor. So adding everything up here, 17. You guys have collected 20 gold bars. So 20 gold bar collection minus 10 gold bars for your expenses. You're going to be adding 10 gold bars to the treasury.
Hey, better than average, folks.
It is, yeah. And then in addition to that, you guys got a little bit more Regency this time as well, thanks to that bless. So I'm going to go ahead and add 23 Regency points to the domain sheet. So that's how a statement is going to work. Again, we only do this once per season. If you guys enjoyed doing that, we'll do it the same way next time. If you thought, that was just a waste of time rolling some dice, of course, I can just, speed that up and roll those for you. But you'll have to rely on whatever luck I get if you choose that route.
No, this is good. This is how we make money. I'd like to be a part of it.
All
Nice
right.
to watch the gold bars roll in.
Yeah, but I think more importantly, it just kind of reminds us some of the things that are going on in the world, right? For immersion purposes.
All right, excellent. I appreciate that. I will assume we will continue doing this way unless you guys let me know otherwise then. So I'm going to go over to our domain sheet and I'm going to increase your gold bars by 10. So you guys are going to be up to 19 gold bars and 100 gold pieces. And then I'm going to increase your Regency by 23. That's going to get you up to 24 Regency points.
How do we increase our loyalty?
Yes, good question. So loyalty is going to go down actually due to that really terrible weather event that you guys experienced in the province of Riverford. So loyalty will actually become poor.
It's not our fault. It's
And yeah, but that's, people blame leaders when that kind of stuff happens. Pharaoh's all powerful and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, we went through that very quickly. So I want you guys, and I'm going to answer your question just one moment, Serena. But what I want to make sure you guys are taking away is I kept the light taxes on because that was the easiest way to do this. You guys, of course, could have increased taxes if you want, but that would make your loyalty go down even more. So in every province that you increase taxes, I assume you guys didn't want to entertain that quite yet. So something to consider in the future, though, if you have more law holdings or you're really desperate for money, you can increase taxes if you wish. So just wanted to get that out there. All right, so increasing loyalty. So now that you guys are updated in the domain sheet, so I'm going to go ahead and pop this up. I know you guys know where to find this, but just pop this up for reference. This is essentially like the character sheet for the domain of Cariele. And we can see that you guys have your updated gold bars and updated regency. And you guys can see that your loyalty is now poor in Riverford. So the question was, how do we improve loyalty? The most direct way of doing this is through the agitate domain action. You can use agitate. You spend some regency, some gold bars. It's a % chance. You know, obviously the more you spend, the better chance you have. And then you could, if you're successful, it will go back up to average in the next season. If you're really successful, you roll super high. It's possible, assuming that like the number's high enough, that you can actually move up 2 grades. Other than that, there are other ways to increase loyalty, but most of them are not things that you can kind of control. But I will show you that just real quick.
Can we host a hunting tournament to increase loyalty?
So you can kind of try anything you want, but if it's kind of like you're trying to do it as an end around, then I basically would assume that's like the agitate action. You can say like, oh, we're doing the agitate action, but how we're framing it is a hunting. You know, that's certainly possible. But from a mechanical perspective, it's the agitate action. But I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom of this thing I just popped up for you guys. If you do the same thing, you'll notice step 8 is adjust loyalty and regency, and you'll see the different ways that loyalty goes down there. So severe taxes are -2, moderates -1. So for example, if you were to say we're going to collect no taxes this season, then loyalty goes up a grade just because nobody had to pay anything. They love that, right? So you'll see there's a couple of other ways to do that, but not a lot of them are strictly under your control. Does that make sense? Anybody have questions on that?
There's too many negative options and not enough positive ones.
That is true. There's a lot of ways to piss people off, but not so many as to make them happy.
Taxation is theft. Just gonna throw that out there. But I was referring to the guy who walked the petitioner. I know we kind of sent him away, but there's no way that would actually raise a loyalty point.
So, if you'll remember the way I phrased this, I said there's a small chance that could build camaraderie, and that's basically what I was hinting at, is that there was a small percentage chance that could increase loyalty in the province. But as Lord Tannen told you, he thought the most likely outcome, meaning the chance for that to happen is pretty low. So you would spend the money, and then the chance of it happening is pretty low. You can certainly still call that guy up if you wish, like summon him back to court. And ask him to do that if you wish. But if you really want to raise that loyalty, I strongly recommend looking into the agitate action. That's like the best way to do it.
Copy that.
We can't afford to let this slip into any further, I think.
Yeah, and I will point out, now that it is poor loyalty, that does have an effect. So notice, if you still have that handout open, if a province's loyalty drops to poor, the regency point and gold bar cost of all action that's in province increase by 1. So for example, if you were to say, hey, we're going to agitate in that province now, it will be more costly to try to agitate there because the people are already feeling kind of like, things aren't going so well. So not the end of the world, but it's a little bit more costly to get things going there now.
It would be very costly if we had another random event that fucked us over for no fault of our own.
Yes, right. So if it goes to rebellious, then things get really bad. So you'll notice that you don't get any money or regency for that province. It's almost like you don't fully rule it at that point, and you might actually have a rebellion where the citizenry rise up and form militias to try to overthrow your control. So yeah, not good stuff.
What if we give them all free healthcare?
Yeah, that would certainly work, but that's going to be costly.
We could do it. Just tax the billionaires.
Good Good luck. I don't think there's a
No.
whole lot of them here in Cariele. So.
No, you're right, Saline. We need to focus on Riverford and do what we can to get that up.
This, I think, has to be our immediate concern. We only have 3 provinces. We can't afford to lose one in any capacity.
Agreed.
You notice Lord Tana nodding. Okay, it sounds like you have good direction on what your first domain action in the next season will be then. We'll be trying to agitate to increase loyalty here in Riverford. So, okay, that's good to know. That helps me plan for the future.
That's right. We're going to agitate the heck out of them.
All
I'm a little
right.
thrown off by the word there, how it relates, but yeah.
So that is essentially everything I had to go over. I certainly wanted to make myself available to you all. If there was any questions that you had or any thoughts, a lot of this ruling domain, I know it might not be very exciting, just sitting on a table here in a room. You see, he kind of looks back towards the throne. Well, that might be a little exciting, but you get what I'm saying. You know, it's kind of just well, there's a lot of thought that goes into this, and sitting back and mulling over ideas, and that can be where some people put in so much of the hardest work. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to discuss or plan out before I take my leave and leave you to your own devices?
Would it be possible to find someone to be able to find a place for this this alchemist woman to do her experiments? I think it could help us.
Well, as you'll recall, I offered to look for a suitable location, but when you say help you, help me understand what that means so I know like what I should be looking for. How do you think she's going to help you? Just by doing this? Or, as you will remember, my thought was to put her somewhere that if anybody came to bother her, well, she's got to be somewhat powerful if she's a sorcerer, right? So like farmers and stuff aren't going to bother her, so she could kind of scare them off. That's why I was thinking, we put her somewhere that kind of double dips. She gets to do her thing, but by her being there, she's protecting stuff. But what are your thoughts?
Oh, that sounds perfect. I just want to make sure she's taken care of. I know what it's like to be on the outside looking in, and we need to embrace all these weirdos because they're coming up with great stuff for us.
You see he nods slowly once again. Yep, I have a few thoughts in mind. There's sort of a visitor's cottage that is south of Carolinian. I believe, if I remember correctly, it's a couple hours outside of the capital. It's where like visiting dignitaries sometimes stay. Actually, I think your group may have actually been there before. I believe Lord Michael's retinue stayed there on his way up here to Carolinian, so you might recall that. If not, no worries. But there is that location. There's a couple other locations that I'm trying to just get some additional documentation on, and then I'll certainly let Petitioner Revi know what options we have for her.
Oh yeah, the cabin was great. That's a great call. If we can use that, that's awesome.
We certainly can, Counselor, unless you're assuming that there's going to be any visiting dignitaries really soon. I don't imagine so, but it was sort of always left sort of on standby, you might say. So I think we could probably put her there for now, and then if something came up, we, of course, could relocate her if we had to.
No, we can keep looking. You said you had other fish on the hook. Well, we'll just see what you come up with.
You see he nods slowly. Okay, yes, certainly, Counselors. I will continue to look and see if there's anything else appropriate as well, and then we don't have to take up that spot.
I'd like to know what your thoughts are on our new region.
What do you mean?
Well, just kind of came out of nowhere, and just wondering how things are going while we're away.
You see he nods slowly once again. Well, Counselor, it's quite difficult to say. I get the sense sometimes, and I could be wrong, but I get the sense sometimes that she really doesn't like the guild, but she's walking a very fine line. and she's making sure not to overplay her hand. But then at other times, I get a strong, like she's really in league with them vibe. So if nothing else, she is walking that line quite well, because I don't have a solid read on her yet.
Well, thanks for being our eyes and ears.
He nods once again. Yes, of course, I am more than happy to assist you in this way, counselors, and I hope that you will remember this type of feedback and input when the payroll time comes, of course.
I like that one. Good one, Dannon.
Which, of course, just as a reminder, since no request was put in to change the payroll, it just stayed as it was. We just went through that. So he got paid the same amount he got paid last time. Just reminding you guys of that. That, of course, is on the income statement. But you guys can, if you decide to change that in the future, you always could. And, of course, I can't remember, can't believe none of you guys even asked this question, but also in that income statement is you guys' salaries. So you guys currently have 1 gold bar attributed to council. So dividing that by 5 people, we're looking at 400 gold pieces each. So you can add that to your sheets as that is distributed within the next day or two, but you can assume you've got it now.
All right. Drinks on me.
I've never seen this much gold before.
Before we do that, Plixel,
Oh,
don't we have a debt to repay?
oh
before it
yeah,
balloons
yeah.
even more?
Yep, that's true.
Adulting.
All right.
With interest, it will now be up to 3,600 gold.
Oh.
Why is it already? Why is it 36 so quickly? I thought we were going to pay it off before it was 33.
You did. You were like, we're thinking of this. We might want to do this, but you're so close. It was going to burn you guys out of all your money. So you were like, let's wait a bit. And then, of course, that bit turned into the next season.
Oh, I misunderstood the end of the season then, because I thought we were holding on to it till right before the season ended.
So if you have 3,300 gold to spend without using your payroll that you just got, the 400 from the treasury, you could have paid it off just before the interest accrued.
That's true. Yeah. I just didn't know the timing. I didn't get that.
Well, how much do people have?
How much do we owe now? I guess
3,300 right now.
Yes. So think of it like a buzzer, and if you pay it right before the buzzer, it's 3,300. But if you need your payroll, it goes up to 3,600.
I have 15 gold pieces.
Right. Okay. How much does the bank have?
Let me look. We have 2980. $2,500 deposit and 480 gold pieces from selling the oil of slipperiness.
And
we also have a vial of unidentified purple poison that could be purple wormwood that could be very valuable, that we might get appraised sometime in a downtime that has already happened. But
we can, if you want to. You guys certainly had days that you were here in the city, so if you want to try to get those things appraised, you certainly could do that.
Didn't Dean have a friend lady who used to do that? Or sold herbs, maybe. That's not quite it. But yeah, let's try to sell that purple thing.
Oh, Libby's got like a gem or something.
I've been wearing this necklace that we picked up in some dungeon, but I suppose so that Blixel can see.
I mean, we can do it with just our gold before we sell the stuff. If we want to do it that way.
You can't have my golden antlers.
No, not your antlers.
No, we look good because Tavar's got 123 and you got 96. So yeah, we could pull this off.
So if we want to save our items and keep looking fly, we can just use gold. And Blixel, I'll owe all you guys.
No, I just look at that as party loot, man, because
someone was going to do it.
Well, I looked at I looked when they all said not to, so I don't blame you if you hold me to it.
The
maybe
cost
give
of
you the
doing
first one
business.
for free. You know, the second look, the second glance costs you cash, though. That's how I look at it anyway.
Fair enough.
Okay, we need 320.
Okay, Blixel gives 96.
I give 123.
How much do you
God,
need?
we're gonna have to bust out a calculator. Fuck.
There you go. Not quite there yet.
So what do we need? 101.
We need 320.
So you guys need 3,300 for the DAT. So you need 101 gold more than what you've already said.
Just
Oh,
101 from you.
I
So
get to keep
Serena,
2
you're putting
gold?
it. Sounds like you're putting in 101. Okay. All right, I'm gonna trust you guys to all update your sheets. So the bank should be gone at this point, right? You're completely taking all the money out of the bank. Whatever the 96 and the 123 looks like that was Blixel's and Tavard's individual gold. So please remove those from your sheets. Serena, remove 101 from your sheet, and the loan is now fully paid.
You can see.
Thanks, guys. These peepers, they're really top grade, too. They did a great job.
What colors did you get? I didn't mean ask.
They're blue. I made sure they were blue still.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
You could have got like fiery ones that look like flames.
All right, now if you guys
Mhm.
remember, I told you this is a little bit of like Peter Pan Paul situation because you borrowed this money from the domain, right? So now it's been paid back and the interest has been paid back, but that went into the treasury. So you're going to notice that your gold bars has increased. So just FYI.
All right, hey, we found the infinite money glitch. Let's
Well,
go.
That's good business, right? Loan from yourself.
All right, so it sounds like that has been fully taken care of. You guys would then have got your payments. Of course, you can add that money to your sheet. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. Is there anything else anybody wants to discuss here with Lord Tannen during this impromptu session, or any other kind of planning you wish to do before you allow him to go on his way?
I can't think of anything.
Okay, fair enough. So hearing nothing, you'll see Lord Tannen stands up, and then he's kind of like putting all these sheets of paper back in this folder, and then he stops and he says, "Oh, I'm sorry. There was something I forgot to mention. Counselor Tavard, a friend of yours actually sent through a note. I'm afraid I must have misplaced it somewhere, but going off of memory here,
A friend of mine?
yes,
I got a friend.
well, that's what the note said. I believe his name was Franco. Are you familiar?
Franco, yeah. Yep. He's the only one I can think of in this town.
Well, he said I'm trying to remember exactly the words he used. I apologize, Counselor. I'm usually more organized than this, but I was trying to get everything put together, and I must have just left it. I'll track it down to get you the actual letter at a later time. But he said something along the lines of to let you know that the place has a new event for you. It was something like that. I assumed you would know what he was talking about.
Oh, I'm guessing, folks. When we went in there and got into that, that fight that we were in, where we were victorious, and that's where I met Franco. So I'm guessing maybe that's what he's talking about. That'd be interesting to go visit.
The underground tournament or something?
Yep.
That seems lowbrow, but
Hey, it's entertainment while we're in the city.
Oh, we need cards.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Good call.
Because that's how Franco came up, right? With the card.
It was.
Yeah, my
indeed.
last 2 seconds of the session.
Alrighty, everybody should now have a card. Okay, so yeah, with that note delivered, Lord Tannen gets the rest of his paperwork put together, nods at you all once again, and wishes you well before he takes his leave. I'm going to put us back in... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Serena.
I just, once he leaves, I say, oh, I'm glad she didn't cut his salary like she was talking about.
Glad you didn't cut our salary.
Yeah.
Not that I know if we're getting paid well or not. I don't really know. But, at least we're getting some coinage.
All right, guys.
Right
So
on.
you're in the capital city. You're in the throne room here. I mean, the world is yours, as they say. What are your thoughts? What are you guys thinking to do?
I'm gonna find a potion of healing, and I think I have my other materials that I need for spell casting, but I'm just gonna drop 50 for that, Adam.
Sure. If it's anything just right out of the PHB that you're buying, you can feel free to do that. Yeah, plenty of stuff here to buy in Carolinian.
Blixel would like to sell his old scale mail.
Okay. Yeah, and it just had like normal use, not anything super damaged or anything, right?
Nope. Yeah, I just upgraded to the Nihiladium breastplate, but I'm still carrying it around. I want to get rid of the weight of it. So
Yep.
He
Yeah.
was only swallowed a couple of times.
So you can get
Yeah.
50% of the cost of a new scale mail then.
Okay.
And Adam, we don't need to role play this unless you have a need to or whatever. But I am going to go to that tavern, that inn, and keep my promise that we'd show up and visit.
Sure. So you're gonna head over to the half full tankard. Are you doing that essentially tomorrow, like the big celebratory day, or are you trying to do that today?
Well, is there anything going on tomorrow that us as council people need to go to tomorrow? I mean, is there any
No official meetings or anything like that on the books. So until for this moment at least, until the next session of council, you guys essentially have free time, you might say. I assume you probably spend an hour or two each day while you're here in the capital doing like busy work. So think of this as like paperwork, or somebody wants to talk to you about some random thing, right? Maybe somebody wants to talk to you about one of those briefings that you guys all got last time that I'm not sure everybody has totally absorbed yet. But something like that. But other than that, you got free time.
Yeah, I haven't shared mine yet.
I have a question for you regarding mine.
Sure. Yeah, I thought you would.
What's a gong farmer?
Oh man, when I looked this up and I laughed so hard. Does anybody know what that is? Just out of curiosity? No. Okay. So, yeah, go ahead. You want to take a guess, Serena?
No, I was just gonna ask if it's only in the world of Cobalt Press or what.
No. Actually, this is a thing from medieval castles. So, of course, they don't have bathrooms. So they have like privies, right? And generally, when in castles, the privies are built that hang over the side. So when you use the bathroom, falls like down nearby the castle. And then the gong farmer goes around and collects it to make sure that it doesn't all stink up in the castle.
Ah. We have to hire a new one of those. The old one retired.
It's a shitty job.
Wow.
He worked for 10 years, though. I think he had something with the nose where he couldn't smell it.
Oh, good feature.
We all have talents. Like my mom says, the world needs ditch diggers too, son. Keep trying.
Maybe the job should come with a complimentary clothespin.
I might just insult them, but we can offer it.
Insult them? It's for their nose.
So they can't smell. You get it?
I get it.
Why is that insulting? Why would
It
you
just
want
implies
to
their
smell
whole
it?
job is going to be them smelling shit, which I guess technically it is, but still.
It's
You got to ease them
literally-
into it a little bit,
I think we want them to stay on the job so we don't have to buy a new one each week.
Blixel's like, all right, so we're going to hire you, but we got some good news and we got some bad news.
Well, we'll send somebody to look for anyone in the village that in the lower city that doesn't have a sense of smell. They're perfect for it. Offer them the job.
Sounds good.
There's always somebody.
Serena's definitely gonna like keep it like swing by the city watch and like meet with anybody below her and you know to make sure that things are still going smoothly. Um, even though the reports came back saying such, she wants to have like visibility to like show them all that she's invested.
Okay, yeah, excellent. So you're going to spend some time during today and tomorrow doing that. Go ahead and throw me a blind check, Serena, to represent those efforts. So, based on what you can gather, this status report seems fairly accurate. Things seem to be slowly changing for the better. I will say, however, that while you're there and kind of overhearing conversations, checking in with some of the different quarters of the guards in the different areas of the city, there is this sense of fear or worry because somehow well, it's not really much of a surprise, but the fact that there was a doppelganger who was killing people in the streets, that has obviously spread now and people are aware of that. And it seems like this is bothering the guards. You hear no one's coming directly to you and saying, General, this is a problem, but you're kind of overhearing chatter about some effect of like, well, almost anybody could be one of these things then, couldn't they? How can we trust it? Like there's this general sense of unease.
There should be.
Hey Adam, I may as well, while the group's doing their stuff today, instead of visiting that inn with Jane Carthright, I believe her name is, I may as well go talk to my buddy Franco.
Excellent. And you're heading down to the underground ring to track him down?
Yeah, I'm gonna go solo.
Sure.
Because splitting the party is always good to do. I mean,
always.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, so yep, you can certainly find your way back there. As you remember, you basically had to go into an inn and then let them know, and then you went through a closet, and that led to an underground area. So you head back to that bar, trying to do exactly that same thing. You'll notice that the bartender here, you don't recognize them, not that you necessarily would. This occurred a while ago for you. But they seem a little suspicious as you enter. Are you directly asking, like, hey, let me into the underground area? Or are you trying to do about this, like, more roundaboutly?
Hey, I'm trying to find my friend Franco. He sent for me.
You'll notice that the bartender goes, okay, yeah, right this way. Franco, yep, okay, I know him. And then you see he kind of walks over to the corner, just like looks back towards the door that enters into the inn here. Not seeing any recent activity, he just kind of opens the closet and motions for you to go in.
Sounds good. I will.
All right, he closes the door pretty quickly behind you. It's for the most part much like you remember it. It's not nearly as busy right now, however, so you're not seeing like a lot of passersby. You'll kind of remember just vaguely there's like a tunnel to your left that heads more towards like where you would enter the fighting rings, and then there's a tunnel to your right which is more for like viewing and then the administrative area. So you head off to that right. Sure enough, within like 10 minutes or so, you are able to track Franco down. You notice him kind of like on this little area behind the counter, and he sees as you're approaching, you see he turns and looks at you, and he gives like a, oh, hi, there you are. Oh, yeah, I thought I'd be seeing you coming by before too long, Tavern. How are you doing?
My friend, yeah, I heard you got a message, but I didn't get the full message, only that you sent one. But I thought I'd check in on you anyway. I'm not in town that often.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, this is really interesting. You see, there's been some battles here in the Colosseum, And it's been interesting, the people are entertained and so forth. But recently, there's been, the handlers, they acquired a new beastie. Well, multiple beasties, in fact, and everybody that's tried to beat them has lost. Can you believe that? So, they're starting to, the people that run this place, they're starting to get a bit nervous. They're like, no one's going to keep looking and coming to these shows if no one can beat these creatures. We need to find somebody that can come in and at least make it look good. Even if they lose, they got to be able to put up a good fight, right? And make it look like they had a chance of winning. And I was like, you know who? Tavern and that group, those guys did really well last time they're here. And I thought, hey, see if you were still interested.
You know what? We just may. I mean, what? I don't know what the rules are, to be honest with you. I don't want to get you in trouble, Mr. Franco, of course, but are you allowed to tell me what these beasties look like or what they're capable of? Are you able to give me information that I could bring back to my group?
Oh, no, unfortunately, that would be strictly against the rules. They're called giant frilled lizards. But no, I don't know. I can't really say.
Oh, I understand. We don't want to be rule breaker. I don't want to get you in any trouble or anything like that. Good jobs are hard to find. Wink, wink, nod, nod.
Oh, yes. And I'm sure you and your whole team will be very brave and not scared at all if you come to try to fight this battle, all right?
Well, I will definitely encourage them of that. I mean, I can't, some of the folks sometimes, I mean, we do have a bookworm, but, the other folks,
Yeah, well, I would definitely recommend they bring in weapons and not books.
Hey, Franco, one thing I do want to let you know is, just between you and me, of course, I've got a special job on the council. Um, let's just say if you hear anything that you feel is important, kind of, that most people in the council may not know about or anything, if you could bring it to me, maybe we can make it worth your while if you hear anything, with some of your connections or something. I'll just say that.
Oh, yes, I'm sure that would go really well here, because we want to be very forthcoming. Yeah, I'll let you know if I hear anything.
Yeah, nothing necessarily with your group here, of course. I just mean I don't know too many people here, just you, so.
Oh, no, it's great. Yeah, no, like I said, it's been so great catching up with you. And yeah, I'm so glad that you came down to visit me. And wow, just imagine the show you're going to put on and all that money you're going to bring into this establishment when you and your group come back. Oh, man, it's going to be so great.
Franco, I'm going to use my high charisma score and my expertise in persuasion to try to talk my group into coming down here and help you guys make some cash.
He does the medieval equivalent of the finger guns, so maybe finger spears or finger daggers. Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, later, buddy.
He smiles as you're going away and gives you like a wave.
And I will tell him that I am planning on trying to attend go to that inn tomorrow if he wants me to buy him a beer. But no promises in case council business happens. So.
He lets you know that he'll try to get away, but no promises that he'll show up. But he certainly will try.
Fair. Okay, cool.
All right, so while Tavern's off underground taking care of that, is there anything else anybody would like to try to accomplish?
Blixel wants to make contact with the rat folk and make sure that they're getting their metal that they needed.
Okay, yeah. Let's go ahead and have you throw a blind check for that one. Pulling up my last note on the rat folk here. Okay. All right. So after you do indeed manage to track them down, you make contact with them. The leader is not the same individual that you spoke to before, but again, that real kind of high, fast-paced speaking, this very much like chittering and nervous energy. But you can tell he's pretty agitated, Blixel. And eventually, through like slowly drawing this out from him as you ask more questions and so forth, he essentially tells you that the price of this metal seems to keep going up, and it doesn't really make sense. And since you struck this deal, they're already paying 15% more than when they first started paying.
I'll need to talk to Janshi. I want to make you our friends.
All right, and you're saying this to the rat folk, and yeah, again, very fast-paced, like chittering dialogue. He nods, and essentially, basically, what he's telling you is, yes, need this metal, need it, too expensive, getting too bad. People are getting angry because not enough metal and too expensive. And that means we can't buy the foods and other stuff. So he kind of like goes on this long, almost like diatribe a bit.
Okay. And I ask him if the sewers are okay before I leave, if there's anything crazy going on down there.
He tells you that things are kind of status quo. He will let you know that the giant carrion crawler is certainly still there, but it and its offspring don't come to the rat folk area, or at least when they get anywhere close to that, the rat folk are aware and they're kind of moving away, but they're certainly not like pushing in and trying to take over the rat folk area.
Okay. And then Blixel will try to find I have it written down as Janshi, a half-elf man named Janshi.
Yes, and I believe that was the person that was going to make the deal with them, like serve as the middleman, but I don't know that you have ever actually met Janshi, if I remember correctly.
Okay, well, I'll try to track him down then.
Okay, so am I safe to assume that means going back to the castle and like talking to your sources there and seeing if anybody knows who this guy is?
Yeah, because we hired him somehow to do it. So whatever channels we went through to hire him to do this, I'll try to find him through that.
Okay, fair enough. Throw me another blind check just to represent those efforts, but I will say overall, this certainly seems like it's going to take a bit of time. It doesn't seem like something that's going to be resolved quickly.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, excellent. Anybody else? Anything specific?
Serena is curious. She's starting to get a little self-conscious about her like hide armor in these highfalutin places, particularly a wedding. So, is somebody gonna like dress us so we don't look stupid?
Yes. Yep. So you'll remember at the last session when this was discussed, the 2 gold bar cost of you guys attending this wedding includes both a wedding gift as well as retainers and then clothing appropriate for a wedding for all of you.
Sweet.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's nothing else specific that anyone's wanting to try to accomplish, Tavern, you have your information. You could certainly make it back to the team if you wish to fill them in fill them in on that quickly. And then we still have the downtime to do. Again, that's going to represent the whole next month. So let's focus on this part first. But yeah, you arrive back. Again, you guys are all kind of scattered. So are you like asking them to all meet you in the castle at some certain point at a point of day? Is that like reasonable to assume that?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll assume it's later that day then. So we're still on the 31st. We'll assume that you have basically asked everybody to meet you. I'm going to say in the council chambers this time, just so you don't have to go through the whole process of getting the throne room prepped. And unless anybody has objections, I will assume, it's like probably 6 p.m. and you guys are all in the council chambers.
Hey ho! Hope your day was as exciting as mine.
No, I sort of smell like the sewers, but it was fine.
Yeah, well, that's what good showers are for. Warm if you got it. Hey, so who knows what a giant lizard, feral lizard is? Looks at the bookworm.
You're not sure what a giant feral lizard might be, Saline. I mean, that name sounds kind of generic, like it almost might not be the correct words. But you don't
Yeah.
know.
Do you know any that kind of similar to that?
Like one with a frill, maybe?
Frilled lizard? Yeah, I kind of. Oh, frilled. I could have gotten it wrong. Just, feral sounded better to me. But, I mean, I don't name lizards,
Now that does ring a bell, Saline. A giant frill lizard. You think you have heard of that before, but these are certainly more exotic beasts, so your knowledge on them is kind of limited. So I will allow you to choose from one of these options. I can give you their armor class, their average hit points, their speeds and modes of movement, their skills. Each one of these is an individual choice. Their senses, their special ability, or one of their attacks.
Oh, special ability for sure.
Or
'Cause
one of
those
their
are always the
attacks. Let's
nastiest
just say
ones.
multiple, right?
So the special ability that rings a bell to you after hearing the term giant frilled lizard is they have this ability known as intimidating charge. And when the giant frilled lizard charges, it does this really ferocious hiss. It extends its neck frills and it moves forward on much faster, so it can move pretty far and around when it chooses to do this. In addition, the specific creature that it charges has a chance to be frightened, meaning it must make a charisma saving throw or be frightened for up to 6 rounds. The creature can make a new save at the end of each of its turns to shake that effect.
Yes, I've heard of them. They have the ability to move much more quickly than you might expect, and they're very scary. And I'm not just saying that. It's like a mechanical thing, not a saline only thing.
Well, Franco was kind of asking if we'd like to go down there and fight some down in the arena area.
How
So
many?
Oh,
he didn't know how much money we'd make, but he said that a lot of folks are honestly just not winning, right? So he thought maybe we may be interested to kind of just do our thing.
tell him to pay me in copper.
Oh, I'm sure they could pay you in copper. We know how much you love that. Now he did say some. I mean, there was a plural, so I would just imagine it's more than one. But I didn't ask how many. He's not allowed to tell me too much.
Oh, of course.
Doesn't this seem a little beneath us as members of the council?
Oh, you gotta stay sharp. You don't want to go soft. Soft general. It's no good to anybody.
I would agree. It's definitely not. It's more for exercising your bones and stuff, right?
I mean, it seems like now we should be participating in the legitimate above ground tournaments, not the ones in the depths of the underground.
Yeah, but those folks, if they get to know us a little bit, then maybe they'll come to us and tell us things that kind of things that are underground, if you know what I mean. I mean, if
Or
you only
word,
hang out with nobles, you only talk to nobles, right?
or word gets out among the nobles that the counselors are participating in an underground, questionable legality tournament for the entertainment of not my word, but the masses. It might come
You're
back
right.
to reflect.
You're right. Great point, Celine. They may realize that we are for the people. Good point. Another positive.
And they realize we can kill devious monsters. Imagine what we could do to them. I wouldn't, but you know, the implication is there.
Options, options. Are you guys interested in that?
We should probably invite Milena to join us.
Well, she might say no, don't do it though. If you run it by her.
Well, everybody put in their votes. If I get outvoted, I'll still do it. But
Aren't we missing someone?
Yeah, I can't drag my token on there.
What do you think, Gordon, who has been here the whole time?
Gordon opens the door. He was running late from the privy. He had to come in the late, but yeah, we'll get him on the screen there.
What was he doing the job? We haven't hired someone yet.
Oh wait, I
No,
do
he was
see
in
him.
the privy. He was not cleaning up. He, you know.
Oh.
Hey, I see him.
Oh,
They're
look, he's
really
there.
tiny.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see you dragged over there. Let me get you a little bit more resize.
You and your twin brothers there.
I thought those were like little fireflies.
Yeah. Like, you guys hear me? I'm trying to speak up.
It's the new gong farmer.
Well, no, yeah, heck yeah. I say we go. I'm with you guys. I think nothing. You guys did it before, and there was no real consequence, right? So
Well, not
Well,
for
I
us.
did get.
Tavar, can you remind me, like, the protocol of what happens if you lose? Didn't we see one guy get, like, completely obliterated in, like, half a second?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but I do remember that. I don't remember what he looked like or anything, because yeah, he
It
was
happened
gone.
so fast.
He was gone.
They got good clerics though. I remember that.
yeah. Really, this like gone, and I say that to Saline.
Oh, yeah. It was real gory.
Well, what do we get from it? Like, really get from it, not imagine that we get from it.
As I recall, we all put in a certain amount of money, and for winning the fight, we were reimbursed for it and then some.
I don't think it was a lot of coins or anything, but you know, it was nice to stretch the muscles out.
Yeah, we've been working hard already. We hiking all over the place, killing growl. You know, I honestly, my first gut reaction. I'm sorry, Serena and Tavard, but it's a no.
why are you saying no to me? I don't think we should do it either.
Oh, sorry, I was outside in the privy. It was hard for me to hear.
Well, that's two wrong people. Anyone else for it?
I'm for it.
I
The
would rather go
glory
in the
alone.
sewers and fight that big monster we left down there, and then tell the people of the city we've kept them safe and increase their loyalty.
How
Right.
soon is the wedding? Are we going to? Is it going to cause a problem if we end up getting covered in acid or poison or whatever
Or killed.
right before or killed right before we're supposed to go to this big important diplomatic thing?
No, you guys don't have the official date, but you know it's not super soon. It's within like the next month or so.
As long as there's action, I'm interested.
Well, I'm just giving you guys an opportunity here. That's how Franco said, you know.
I think we've got 2 no's, and I think we've got 2 yeses, and I think Saline is the tiebreaker.
Of course she is. Celine doesn't want to do it, but I also, out of character, I don't want to deny the players their opportunity to.
Well, I will just say this. Bill thinks it's probably not the smartest thing in the world, right? But Tavern's trying to make his friend happy, you know. So
Yeah,
you do what you know.
I think the character would not want to do it because she thinks it's way more important that we're all hale and hearty to go do this wedding thing. I think that she thinks that establishing the diplomatic relationship is much more worthy of our time and interest right now, and doing anything to jeopardize that, like in the immediate future, is probably not a good idea.
Yeah,
Sounds to
that's
me
fair
like
enough.
that's 3 no's then. All right, so we will assume, Tavern, is it safe to say that you'll like send word to Franco to let him know that, yeah, you're too busy. The group, won't be able to make it down to do this illegal underground battle.
I will
Well, I won't
clarify that
use
I'm
those.
not opposed to doing it ever, but just not right now.
Yeah, I'll use different words, Adam. It's just, man, that's great. Thanks for the wonderful opportunity, kind of thing. Hope to be able to explore this option later, but unfortunately, the group would like to go ahead and take care of some other urgent issues, council meeting stuff, of course.
Franco seems to understand. He's a little bit disappointed, but you realize it's not gonna ruin his day or anything like that. But thanks you for letting him know.
Cool.
All right, guys. So we are halfway through our session. So let's go ahead and pause, take our 15-minute break here. When we come back on the other side, we'll do our downtime stuff. And then I'll be looking at you guys if you have any specific things you're wanting to accomplish. If not, we can certainly advance time and see what the next event on the calendar is. So see everybody back in 15.
See you.
Well, welcome back,
I'll
all.
let
We
him
are.
know.
Well,
Sorry,
yeah.
sorry.
That's okay. We are back in the second half, and team is gathered here in the council chambers. And it sounds like, yeah, what would you like to discuss? Okay, so you guys are back here in the council chambers. As a reminder, you guys have your downtime event that still has to occur. So technically, that's going to be representative of your efforts for the following month. You guys are currently on the 31st day of the previous days. Reminder that each month has 32 days. So it's today, tomorrow, and then you have that special day, the day of rebirth, that's not within a month. And then the following month begins. So basically, you have about 3 days before the next month starts. That's when we would typically do the next 2 events. Is there anything within the next 3 days that you guys are wanting to do, or can we fast forward? All right, hearing nothing specific, I'm going to assume you guys are good with passing this time. So the 3 days pass by uneventful for the most part. If you guys do decide to go out into the city during the day of rebirth, kind of connect with some of the different shops and that sort of thing, you'll notice that it is a time of merriment. There's a lot of folks who are happy in the streets. The shop owners and things are giving away even like small drinks, small treats, that kind of thing. So it's overall kind of like a festive, joyous mood. There's people like peasants even who have brought things into the capital to share with others. So think of this as small little odds and ends. It might be a mug of ale, it might be a hot beverage, it might be some little whittled piece of wood. It's all different, like knickknacks and real basic, cheap kind of things, but they're designed to give everybody a little bit of joy and that sort of thing. So yeah, overall, it's a good time in the city. I'm gonna move
Yeah.
us. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, so I did go. I know I've said it a couple times, but I did go over to that inn. I'm sure the beer was good. And I said something like, some of the best I've had.
Well, let's find out if it was good. Give me a D20 roll and pick high or low before you roll it.
I'm going to pick high. I want to practice that.
All right. I will say you find it quite adequate. Nothing amazing, but yeah, it's decent enough. The ale over there at the half tankard inn. You will not recognize the specific petitioner. She doesn't seem to be around right at the moment. But some of the other folks in the tavern, like the waitresses and the one who kind of seems to be like managing it, do recognize you. Again, there's not a abundance of dwarves here, so a dwarf kind of matching your description. The folks seem to recognize you as a counselor, and they are offering you to have free free ale and free food. They're happy to bring you out what you're requesting. They have pretty common fare, but yeah, the ale is what you find to be, it's decent, we'll say.
I'm going to go ahead and just give a gold coin anyway for everything, and I'm going to just compliment them. Oh yeah, that was good, and I'm going to make sure some people hear me, just so either they think I have not the not the best palate in the world, or I'm just being kind, right? Whatever.
Okay, so you do so. They are very much appreciative of your 1 gold piece. And of course, as is wont to happen, anytime you're in a tavern, you overhear the craziest stories. And this is no exception, Tavern. While you're there, you overhear some of the folks in the town talking about this citizen here in Cerilia by the name of Joanne Betty. And they say that she has mysteriously gained the ability to control the weather. It seems to be the talk of this little group of folks, and everybody's sort of laughing about it and saying what they would do if they had that kind of power. And then this goes on to what power would you have if you could pick what power you, and you could tell everybody's really enjoying their alcohol here.
Do I get a feeling of where she may be, where she could be found?
Give me a blind check here, Tavern.
Oh, I'm not good at those. Hold on a second.
I would say you get the pretty strong suspicion that this is alcohol-induced exaggeration. But if you wish to track her down, you don't think it'd be too difficult. Yeah, you know, working here in the castle, you could certainly take that name and try to find her if you wished.
Fair enough. Thank you.
And I'll go ahead and throw that name in chat just in case you decide that at a later time. Okay, with that accomplished, we're at the first of the month. You guys have enjoyed your little bit of celebratory time on the day of rebirth. You're still getting little updates here and there. The wedding in Thosone, you have official date for. It is going to be held on the 24th of the month. So today's the 1st, so essentially you're 23 days away. That will be past your next session of council, so quite a bit of time, but it's definitely on the horizon.
When will
Good,
we
I
need to
can-
leave to get there?
Good question. So let's go ahead and bring us over to the bigger map.
Plenty of time to do the abs and things like that we need to do. No carbs.
What about ice cream? Is that on the list?
No, you can't eat no ice cream.
Luckily for you guys, there is a road. It's one of the more famous roads that actually goes through your land and up to the capital of Thosone, Sunderland. So let's see. We're looking at we'll call that 86. We'll call that 86 miles to round. I believe travel somewhere in the 20s per day. Do a quick double check on that. So a high estimate is somewhere between 3 to 4 days. Yeah, you can travel 24 miles per day. I think I just said 86, so 24, 24, 60. So yeah, closer to 4 days. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically, if you left the day after your next session of council, you would arrive at the wedding on that day. Now, when they say the wedding is on that day, the wedding is like a 2-day affair. So this is like the first day of the wedding, and then the actual ceremony will take place on the next day.
Okay.
Okay, so you guys have that knowledge. Because we were also on the 1st of the month, this is something you guys, first time you've experienced this, we also roll for a random domain event that occurs sometime during this season. And it might be something really big, it might be something not big at all. Who would like to be the random roller?
Not me. I'm saving my good roll for when I have my individual one.
Yeah, I'm gonna burn my bad roll right now.
It sounds like you're volunteering to roll for this?
Yes, I totally am. 100%.
All right, Gordon, you're going to go over to the macro section. You'll remember that's the collection icon on the top right. You're going to scroll down a little bit until you find one called Domain Random Event, and you're just going to click the die icon left of that to roll once on the table. Let me know if you're having any trouble finding that.
It's not in alphabetical order, I guess.
It should be. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. The table is revealed to you, but this macro is not. That's why you can't see it. Let me go and do that. Try looking again. You should be able to see it now.
Copy.
All right. You have rolled the assassination
Oh.
random event.
Roll
It's gotta
one
be
d
good. That's
roll
good, right?
1d5 to decide which one of us it is.
Okay, I'll give you a little bit of a description of what this means, and this might help seed some paranoia into our group here. So, an attempt is made on one of the player character's life. This might be from a foreign power. It might be from a dissatisfied subject. There's likely a conspiracy that goes along with this. So, essentially, how this works is this assassination attempt is taking place, and you have an ability to respond to this. But because we don't know who this assassination attempt is on quite yet, you don't have exactly a chance to respond just yet. But once the assassination attempt occurs, then you'll get to decide how you want to respond. Now, that could occur at any time in this next season. So, let's see how long you guys remember this event.
God.
We're going
Thank
to
you, Brian.
respond. We're going to respond with hate and discontent, Adam. You can just mark that in your notes.
I figure something like that. But yeah, we will see when that happens to come to fruition. All right. So next, guys, you will have your downtime that you can take care of now. You guys will remember the downtime is also over there in the macros. If you guys need a refresher on how downtime works, I can certainly go over that. But this is essentially your one chance per month to do something either individually. You could try to earn money, try to do some studying. It's still just a little thing you can do to try to give yourself some more customization for your character. So it sounds like, Gordon, you already know what you want to do?
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm looking for goggles of night. I am just walking around in the castle, being my friendly self, realizing I'm such a burden to my group that I'm specifically looking for an uncommon magic item called goggles of night, and I'm willing to roll that DC 15.
So a specific uncommon item. Okay, yeah. So you're rolling a difficult check. Let's see if there's how that goes. Yeah, you remember how to do this?
I hit the same die next to the downtime action.
You do, yes. And then that should take you through the prompts.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, I'm just gonna say as described.
Fair enough. Yeah, you've told us. It's in the recording. We can always listen back. Ooh, okay. A failure with a major complication.
You get assassinated.
He gets assassinated. He offends the shopkeeper
dead.
so much.
That might have made that one a whole lot easier to pick, right? Okay, so just as a reminder for you and for the team, major complications are, of course, harsher than minor complications and often include mechanical penalties. So, as a reminder, I will essentially spin up what makes sense based on what you've described. So, you've been searching all around the castle, and you were basically looking to see if these goggles just happen to be in the castle, right?
Castle, city, yeah, everywhere.
City as well. Okay, so fair enough. That means you're also going out to shops and seeing if anybody has one, right?
Yep.
All right, so I'm just going to jot a note down here for us.
You found some goggles of blinding.
Yeah, they're gonna get new eyes.
$3,300 down the drain again.
Fuck.
Okay, all right. So we've got that jotted down, so we know for reference, and yeah, we'll see what comes of that. So that was a good start. Who would like to go second?
I'll go second. I kind of know what I'm looking for, kind of.
All right, what are you thinking there, Tavern? Which one are you going to choose to do?
All right, since Gordon's already taken the bad roll on finding a magical item, I'm going to go ahead and try the same.
All right, and which DC are you going to try for? And then I'll have you you can describe it like Gordon did as well if you wish, but just type it in there just in case there's a major complication. It saves me from having to document that. Yeah, who would think that would happen twice in a row, but you never know.
Probably not, because I saved my roll, my good roll. Do I have to say what I'm specifically looking for, or can
So
I
your
just kind of?
options for magic item, you've got the 4 different DCs you could target. You can go for a random common item, a specific common item, a random uncommon item, or a specific uncommon item. If you say specific, you don't have to say what specifically the item is at this point, but it means if you're successful, you get to pick it. If you say random, we roll on a chart if you're successful.
Yeah, so I'm looking for an uncommon magic item, but maybe someone just drops a gift at my door. Maybe they just let me know what it is.
Sounds like you're going
So-
for random uncommon then. So that's going to be that DC
Sure.
at 10. Yeah, so follow those prompts through the macro. Let me know if you have any trouble with that, and then type in what you're doing specifically, and we will see if you're successful.
I think I just got myself off of. Let me see something here.
I mean, you could get goggles of night.
Yeah, and then I may sell them for 1,000 gold pieces. All right.
And I can quickly walk you through those steps again, Tavern, if you like.
No, I pushed the wrong button and some other different screen showed up. I think I was pushing
okay.
the alt button down when I was doing something.
No worries. So you know where to go though. All right, uncommon magical item and chooses DC of 10. All right, you have done a success. You get a random uncommon item. Now
Hey,
Alright.
Adam,
That's done.
also, just remember, last time I picked, I was successful in finding a high level, whatever, person as some sort of contact or something. So just throwing that out there in case that hasn't played in yet.
sounds like you're bragging about how well you're rolling. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, that was so long ago. I just don't know if I just want to make sure we're still on the radar kind of thing, because I just don't remember if that ever took place. So
We may have to talk through that in Discord just to make sure we're on the same page. But yeah, let's touch base on that. Okay,
Sounds
your
good.
random uncommon magical item. I will need you to roll me a D109.
And I'm sure these are going to be like bracers of defense or a +4 hammer
Or
something.
goggles of night.
I'll tell you,
Hey,
it's like
what-
a 1 in 109 chance that it might be something you want.
One of these was the loot that I got, which fit my character perfectly. So there's hope.
There's precedent.
Yes, I told you guys I was going to roll good tonight. Yes.
Well, we don't know if that's good.
I don't know either, but it's not a 1.
All
It's
right.
something a cleric can only use.
Tavard, you have discovered a periapt of wound closure. This is an
That is
uncommon,
nice.
wondrous item. Does require attunement. While you wear it, you stabilize whenever you're dying at the start of your turn. In addition, when you roll a hit die to regain hit points, double the number of hit points it restores. So it could be really good for the short rest house rule.
Really good for that upcoming assassination.
Would you like to attune to this before the poison takes effect?
He thought he got him, but actually,
All right. Thanks, Adam.
All right, I've got that handout created just as a reference for you, and I'm going to throw that down in the magic item area so we don't forget about that one. All right, so down under items. Yep, that's where we're putting these. I'll go ahead and throw that down there.
And I'll just add it to my character sheet too.
Yep, should be able to drag and drop that right from the compendium. Okay, so that's 2 down. Who would like to go third?
Serena would like to follow Tavern. Serena has been seeing Tavern have so much fun with his friend, and she wants to try to feel a little more at home in the city, so she's gonna get some contacts.
Okay, excellent. And what type of contact are we looking for?
DC 10.
DC 10. All right, so maybe 2 uncommon or 1 rare contact. All right, yeah, let's go ahead and roll that out through using the macro. Let's see how you do.
Am I doing the right one if I have it along my bottom buttons?
If it says downtime action down there, then yes, that's the correct one.
Okay. So
And
I
then
have
once
to.
you click that, it should give you some prompts. So if you have a screen like a sheet open or something, you might have to close that because you're going to like a little pop-up box. It's going to ask you a couple questions. You'll make a couple selections, and then it's going to do those rolls for you.
Okay.
I'm looking at my example of a major complication, and I see number 4 says, you attempted to craft a new alchemical explosive which backfired spectacularly in your face. I wonder if that would be suitable for someone looking for goggles.
I know you're thinking that. I know it.
All right, while Serena is typing her downtime out, let's see, I think we have... Oh, okay, there we go. So gain context by chatting with folks and visiting the city guard. Oh, nice. All right, excellent. And she is successful. All right, so Serena, with a success on that, would you like to select 2 uncommon contacts? As a reminder, these are like merchants or skilled artisans, or 1 rare contact, which would be a minor local noble or an adventurer.
Oh, I thought it was all of them.
I mean, no,
go-
you get 2 uncommon or 1 rare.
I would like rare.
All right, excellent. I have that jotted down. You will get a message from me in Discord between sessions, updating and making sure we're on the same page as far as which of the type that you like. And if you have any thoughts on specifics, we can definitely have those discussions, and then we will see who your contact is.
As long as they're my bestie. I don't have to hang out with these jerks anymore.
Oh, okay.
Whoa,
You're making
whoa,
up a
whoa.
second party. I like it.
She's
case
stepping
things
out
go
on
really
us,
wrong.
boys.
All right, that is 3 down. Saline, Blixel, which one of you would like to go next?
I
Go
can
ahead.
go. Sure. So Blixel wants to sort of retouch some of his roots with his religious background and gain religious favor.
Okay, excellent. So this would be gaining religious favor with the church here in Cariele, which is the NRC. Is that kind of what you're aiming for?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. If there was a church for to Avani specifically, he would be going to that. But if not, he goes to the bigger whatever is popular here.
Yeah, unfortunately, the NRC is kind of like the dominant religion here. So, yeah, it's real easy to find them. Not so likely to find. You might find a small, tiny shrine in like someone's home to Avani, but nothing that would give you like significant benefits. So, we'll assume this is with the NRC. And yeah, go ahead and use the macro there. We'll see what difficulty you're aiming for and whether or not you are successful. Oh yeah, I see the chatter. So we're stocking up for the next major accident. All right, and then while Blixel is getting that ready to go, Saline, do you already have in mind what your downtime action is going to be?
Yeah, I think given the mention of the giant situation in the Stone Crown Mountains has brought that potential conflict to the front of her mind, and so she's gonna go to the library and try to learn the giant language. We said they were Fomorians. Does she know if they have their own language, or would it fall under giant?
Ooh, good question. I can say almost 100% that will fall under giant, and then I'm going to totally double check that I just said that. But yeah, we'll say giant for now.
So she will go to the library and try to learn that language in the event that communication with these people becomes important.
Yes, they are predominantly speakers of giant, you would know. So yeah, okay, excellent. All right, so Blixel was successful. All right, excellent, man. We're on a roll here. Only one failure and then 3 successes. Poor Gordon over there. Okay, so successful for Blixel, and that is a major religious favor gain. Make sure you add that to your sheet so we don't lose track of that. And you've got some examples down there of what a major favor would be. So yeah, whenever you're ready to cash that in, you have that essentially in your back pocket.
Excellent.
Always good to be prepared. Okay, all right, that one is good. And then Saline, yeah, if you're ready, go ahead and do yours up as well. Woo, okay, another success. Nice. All right, so
Boy, these are hard to fail.
Why do you suck so much, Brian?
I know, right? I got it out of the way.
He said it too. He's like, let me get my bad roll out of the way.
Yep.
So, all right, so that was a success. A language or a tool proficiency gained. Yep. So during this month, you're sort of in study of this, and once this month is complete, you will have mastered the giant language.
Well, that's huge. Good job.
Nice.
Excellent. Okay, everybody's got their downtime complete. I've got some notes on folks. And yeah, guys, is there anything else specific you're wanting to do before we continue to advance time to the next big event? Okay, hearing nothing, I'm going to start advancing. Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, I have a question. So,
Sure.
if I were to move troops, is that something that can be done at any time?
For the most part, yes, it doesn't take an actual domain action to move troops. There is a small cost involved in doing that, but yeah, we can certainly review that if you'd like to.
Do you guys care if we move the archers to Melivian?
Yeah, I think we should have 2 units in both the West provinces.
Sounds good to me, General.
Well, I don't know if there's gonna be like, hopefully there's no like conflict between our armed forces and the mercenaries. But
What about moving the one from Mountain's Edge to Meliviev?
well, that's where the mercenaries are. It'd be nice
Oh,
if
that's
they
what you're
could.
asking. Yeah, do they get along, Serena?
And well, that's my concern is that they won't.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, it'd be great if we put the mercenaries in Mountain's Edge and then all of our legit folks along the western border. But since it does cost money, we probably shouldn't go crazy.
Yeah,
But-
so a gold bar will buy you essentially 10 march points, and moving a unit from one province to another is a march point. You can think of this as basically breaking this down as every time you use a move a unit from one province to another, it's going to run you about 200 gold.
Well, that seems.
That's less than I thought it was gonna be.
So are the mercenaries in Meliviev, and that's the only one there?
Yeah, so if you put your
Yes.
cursor on that green token there, Gordon, you'll notice you get a little pop-up. It should tell you mercenary, irregulars, unfortunate devils. That's the name of the mercenary company. And then the other ones, you'll notice don't say mercenary because they're just your units.
I like the idea of, I mean, them being in like the less populated
Right.
province as well. But
So it sounds like you're proposing to do this and then have these guys do this, kind of like one of these deals?
I think we should, but I don't want to, my character's motivation is this, so if you guys want to put a cap on how much she can spend, feel free.
No, I'm fine with that. And the ancient Naga is somewhere over there, so maybe they get eaten and then we don't have to pay them to piss off.
Piss off.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's swap them.
Yeah, I say swap them. Let's get our boys that are, quote, loyal to us on the western edge.
My briefing suggested that we beef up the western edge, so
You're the general.
All right, so we've got.
They actually suggested we get scouts too. Sorry, just wanted to add that. But
Do we
this
need an
domain-
action to do that, or is that just
That's the domain
money?
action, I think, right?
Mustering troops is a domain action, but it's not the kind that you only get one of. It's like a minor action, so you can do it, and it doesn't take a turn. But as a reminder, they're not immediately available. There's a little bit of prep time involved. Only the mercenaries are immediately available because you basically just hire them right from the get-go.
It's fine. I'm not opposed to getting that process started.
Agreed.
Yeah, for sure. We did that once before, right? It worked fine.
Yeah. Let's increase the troops. Scouts, please.
And while you're multitasking, Adam, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of pretend that I just found this gift in my room.
All right, fair enough. Mysterious benefactor.
Hey, who knows, right? You know, and I will let the team know what I got, and I will take time to attune to it, Adam. So.
Yep, yeah, you have plenty of time to do that.
So great. You find this magic item in your room, and I get almost killed in the next month.
Aside from his
We don't
fiancée.
know that yet. We just, hey, you know, Lixo did pick up some, maybe he can bring him.
No,
Maybe
we
he-
all DM. We all DM. This is a pretty solid excuse to go after assassinate somebody with a major
Hey,
failure.
yeah, but maybe he's got some sort of, you know, juice that'll bring you into his become a zombie, and maybe you become his follower or something. I don't know, right?
Yeah, there you go. You could be my zombie.
Zombie cleric.
We don't know who's going to be assassinated.
No, I'm sure that'll be a random roll of some sort.
All right, so we've got the troop movement done. I heard muster scouts was the next minor action you guys would like to take. This has a muster cost of 2 gold bars. So which province would you like to muster scouts in? And I'm assuming it's just 1 unit of scouts?
Yes, and Melivian.
Okay, hearing no disagreements, I'm going to go ahead and document that one up as well.
Nice.
I feel so safe.
Nothing bad could possibly happen to us.
Yeah, 100%.
So, what's your new character going to be?
Right.
All right, 2 gold bars spent, and those scouts are currently in recruitment and training. All right, and I will just say that as these small expenses start to come through, you get one of these minor kind of nerdy notes from Lord Tannen that says something along the lines of, "Yes, great ideas, but don't forget next season we won't have that blessing, so expect to get a lot less money coming in." Ever the pessimist, of course, he makes sure to let you know that about money.
Gotta spend it while
Hey,
you got
that's
it.
his job. That's his job. So.
So spend it all is what he said.
All right, so that is accounted for. And yeah, you guys have those 2 things underway. All right.
All right.
Anything else specific that you guys are wanting to do, either individual or anything at the domain level before we continue to advance days?
Hey, I'd like to get the guys grouped together and hang out somewhere in someone's porch or lanai, wherever the hell it's called here, in private.
All
And I
together,
had-
all the time.
Yeah, I want to mention that about this logging discontent with the guild. Like, we're about to get this someone petitioner at our doors, and Lord Tannen just said that Meleve is kind of on the fence on that. What if we told her that there's a possible revolt going with the guild? Would it be worthwhile doing so, and then maybe getting a read on her response to that, and might shore up any suspicions of which side that she's actually on? like a fake, like a
Mm.
trick card to see which line she's actually going to commit to.
Yeah, I think we should do something, especially before we go to the wedding, right?
Yes, the most important thing for us is to get a bead on Melena's position here, because without the support of the regent, we can't do anything.
Legal's the word you're looking for.
Yeah, we can't commit to any hypothetical situations we may or may not have discussed.
Hypothetical, yes.
So when I read this, I'm thinking about it. I feel like that's a good use of my information that I got from my briefing, just to kind of tease her with it and see if she makes a commitment either way, and that would at least give us information. If she cares at all, she might say like, "Whatever, just that's not my problem."
Our
But
decision.
yeah.
Sure.
So the risk of that, though, I'm willing for everyone to think about the risk of telling her that we know this, and I see minimal, to be honest. But I'm like to see what you guys thought. I know I'm just throwing it at you, and it's hard to knee-jerk reaction to it, but that's my proposal.
Yes,
Well,
we should see where she's at.
one thing we should keep in mind is that the first time we met Melena, we didn't actually meet her, right? She was in the logging camp,
Yeah.
and they didn't want us to know about it. So,
She was.
oh yeah, you weren't there for that. Well, you were, but like in a different kind of spirit, you know.
I heard the
Uh,
story.
yes, if you've heard the story, then you know that Melena's relationship with the guild is complicated and poorly understood by us at the moment. So, uh, if we could try to find out more about her connections to them, this is a potential opportunity for that, but maybe we shouldn't overplay our hand yet.
Well, I think as
But,
councilman, I think that's a very important thing to understand what her her thoughts on it is. I would think that would be a good conversation. I bet she expects it.
The only thing I can think of is like, okay, so what context would she say? Why would you just bring it up to me? I thought you guys were going to handle all this little shit. And then if she asks that question to me, why do you think it's something I need to know about? Then that's what I need to be prepared to answer.
well, because the specific relationship that Cariele has with its guild is the government of Cariele and its region have with the guild has been very complicated as of late. There are certain things that there's certain degree of autonomy that Miele expects, and that was something that was honored by previous administrations, but perhaps Milena is an unknown to us. She may have different thoughts on the subject, and we wanted to bring it to her attention directly in case she has strong feelings on the matter before we commit to making that decision for her, you know?
Well, do I go alone or you guys want to come with?
Let's go.
Yeah, I'll go with.
Yeah, we'll do it together.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Serena.
I said I'm in.
Okay. So I guess Adam, all right, at appropriate, working hours to ask counsel with Melene. God, I can't say it. And then see if we can have a private meeting with her.
Okay, yeah, you can certainly get like a message to the staff and request a private meeting with Milena. Are you specifying where you would like to meet her?
I think we should be in the throne room. She should sit on her throne, and we'll be in our chairs on the side.
Okay, and if it's important to you, today again is the first of the month. Do you have a specific day you want to meet her?
I don't think so. Whatever's convenient.
So basically, the letter just said, or the request to them just says for whenever she's convenient within the next week or two.
No, in the next few days.
Next few days. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Go ahead and throw me a blind check here, Gordon.
Let me sit up from my chair.
I think for this one, if you have inspiration, use it, brother.
Well, I have to have my tokens first. I don't know.
Oh, I can put you over into the throne room. One moment.
And I will do that with I'm gonna burn inspiration. Can I do it with advantage, please?
Okay, yeah, go ahead and click your inspiration. Okay, so you put in this request for the next few days. Based on that check, it takes 2 days before you get a response, and they say she'd be happy to meet with you on the 5th. So essentially, it was the 1st you put in the request, you get a response on the 3rd, and they say she can meet with you on the 5th, like 1 p.m. ish.
Perfect. I get up my iPhone and put it as a reminder.
All right. Is there anything else you guys want to do before advancing to the 5th of the month in that meeting? Okay, hearing nothing. So the 1st goes by. Again, the weather is certainly starting to turn a bit colder at this point. So just as a reminder to give you kind of a sense of how things were going, you guys just were experiencing some like really warmer than average temperatures for the fall. I'm talking like mid 50s and then high 40s kind of deal. You are now into more of like the winter month. And at this point, you're starting to get into like the mid 30-degree weather. So for the first 3 days, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of the month, it's all right about there, mid to low 30s. The 4th, it gets even colder than that. You're in the low 20s at this point. So you're starting to notice a lot more folks, more bundled up, more furs being broken out in the city streets, that kind of thing. And by the 5th, it's in the high teens as a high temperature at this point. So yeah, it is very much colder, and you're already seeing a little bit of snow accumulation around Carolinian on the rooftops, that sort of thing. Nothing massive, but maybe like a half an inch kind of deal. So yeah, by the time the 5th rolls around, you guys find yourself all prepped, ready to go, dressed up in your nicer clothes, and entering the throne room where, yeah, sure enough, you do indeed see Milena is on the throne. You are announced, much like your petitioners are when they come to meet you, and you can see that there are several guards here, both right at the base of the throne, like right before you would walk up to the throne seat itself, and then along the walls, altogether probably about a dozen guards here.
All right. I'll lead the way and walk up with my colleagues behind me.
All right, and as you do so, you will notice Milena just popping her picture up here as a reminder of what she looks like. You'll see her sitting on the throne, and as you're approaching, you see she'll give you a little bit of a nod, and she'll say, "I was told that you wish to speak with me. Counselors, what is it that you would like to discuss?"
Milena, your regent, with appreciate you carving time on your busy schedule to meet with us. But there's been something that's come to my attention that would like to share with you.
She nods. Yes, please do so.
All right. Well, see, I'm just gonna say it. Word has come to my ears that during my meetings that there's a labor dispute happening out in our regions here. See, the loggers, they're complaining that they're overworked with the guild. It's management, you see. I want to bring this up, but I'm warned that eventually it's going to come to our doors. And with not knowing a lot about the history of this area and the relationship with the guild, I know it's been troubled in the past, and this is going to be a tough one. I'd like to get your thoughts on this labor dispute and the logging within the guild.
Well, first of all, I'm glad that you have brought this issue to me. It is good to be kept up to date on what is occurring. I'm curious, before I explain my views on this, what are your views on this, Council?
Well, I mean, from what I've heard, there's been a lot of guild influence in this area that I don't know. What I've heard is that many of it is negative in the sum total of it all. And with this logging dispute, it might cause dissension or discontent among the people of Cariele. And I can see this as a potential bonfire in our eyes. That's my thought of it. I hope that answers your question.
She stares at you for like a moment of silence, and then she will look behind you to where the other counselors are gathered, and she will say, "And is this the joint agreement of the council? You all agree with Counselor Rainwright?"
Yes.
Well, it's a very difficult situation for Cariele in particular. It's my understanding that in other nearby kingdoms, the government is much more involved in like the day-to-day commercial regulations, but owing to our history under the former regents, Entier, and then your half brother, there were certain agreements that were put into place that um, the guild would not take kindly to the government telling them what they can and cannot do with their workers. And as you are still a relative unknown, not I don't mean unknown as in like untested, but um, as a new face to us and to the political climate of this kingdom in particular, we thought you might have an opinion that could potentially differ, but we wanted to get your perspective, given that this is not something that's usually done in uh, the Northern Anwirian territory specifically.
Well, my initial thought is that labor disputes are between the worker and the employer. They work for the guild, they should settle that with the guild. No one is forcing them to work for the guild or to be loggers in their employ, so I don't see any reason why we should try to insert ourselves there. If they don't like the logging job, they can certainly get other jobs. So you don't have any information that suggests that their employment is somehow coercion or through some form of slavery, right?
Not yet. That is the portent that there could be a dispute between a powerful guild and little Cariele. And we wanted together, and I look behind, to make sure you're aware of this potential issue because the guild may come back with a stronger hand if the loggers are successful in their dispute.
I don't consider Cariele to be little, and yes, the guild, of course, is powerful, but I simply don't see. I don't think I'm following your logic, counselor. What action would you ask the throne to take?
Just to be aware that if this labor dispute were to come to the capital, eventually the capital, including us and you, either have to make or somehow deal with the guild in a, I don't know, an unpredicted way. And it's not happening now, but it will happen. And if the loggers just leave the guild may be more forceful on Cariele. If the loggers get along, then everything goes copacetic. But I do believe it's coming at our doorstep in the next month or so.
It sounds like you are suggesting that if this logger dispute were to become more problematic, that would then become an issue for the crown, and you're thinking that these loggers would then somehow negatively impact us, but you're thinking this based simply on your feelings without any actual evidence. So I'm afraid that's not much to go on, Counselor Rainwright. I certainly have empathy for any worker who feels as though they are overworked, but it seems the simple solution is for them to simply quit that job. Wasn't that what you would do?
That is fine. And when we get the complainant at our door, we'll hear more specifics when that time comes.
I see. So you're anticipating a complaint, and well, you are forewarned then, and I don't see what we can do to aid them unless the laws of Cariele are being broken or something else nefarious is afoot. But from what I'm hearing you say, this sounds like a simple disagreement between employer and worker.
Agreed. Pardon me if I'm too far down the road in my paranoia.
It's good to look ahead, but we must remember that we can't look too far ahead or else we lose the present. So I have no concern with you calling this meeting or voicing these concerns of yours, but I don't see that there's much to go on here quite yet.
Well, if there's nothing else from my friends behind me, I thank you for your time.
Uh, it, I don't usually speak too much at these type of council meetings, milady, but can I add a couple words in there?
Please do so, counselor.
Yeah, so let's just say hypothetically, because we know, I mean, the guild here, as you know, is almost like a second government all on its own, and they kind of do things their own way sometimes. So even though this one here may not be much of an issue at this time, hypothetically, if the guild does become, maybe they are doing some stuff illegal or unethical. Should we bring that to your attention? Is that something you would want to know of? Because there have been, rumors, but I don't know if rumors be true.
The guild has been a powerful force in this area for quite some time. I'm still brushing up on the history and how long things have been this way in the realm. If you have proof, evidence of some serious malactivity on behalf of the guild, of course, bring that to me so that we can review. But generally speaking, the Crown of Cariele has given a pretty wide berth to the guilds to conduct their business how they see fit, short of actual, rule breaking or the guild's doing something preposterous like trying to overthrow the crown or something like that. I see no reason why we should try to antagonize Miele and get directly into her affairs. I suggest we try to stay out of it as much as we can, unless we are forced to act because there is no other option.
They
Understood.
have a stranglehold on this land, though.
Hey, I'm sorry. No, sorry, Blixel, but I wanted to. Can I inside check if she's lying when she said that she's still learning about the guild?
You can throw in, yeah, you can throw a blind check. I don't know if I can tell you that answer specifically, but let's see how well you
Right.
roll. Yeah, I would say you take her at her word. You feel pretty confident that she is speaking very politically, and honestly, you rolled a nat 20, so I'm also going to tell you, as a reminder, this is not necessarily based on your roll, but when she first came to power, remember, she had all new guards. I would say your suspicion might be that those guards were provided by the guild. So even though she's here and speaking with you, you have like guild employees kind of close by, right? So you get the impression that she is speaking in very careful words and trying to show her support to the guild.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was picking up. Okay.
Yeah, I think my apologies. I should have asked if there was, guards or other people. I thought it was a private audience. So
Oh, yep, no worries. Yeah, I know it's hard to tell without the images on the screen, but yeah, I did mention that there's 2 guards in the front and about a dozen guards in total here in the throne room.
yeah, my apologies. I missed that. Thanks.
Yep, yeah, no worries. So yeah, I would say Gordon, you certainly picked that up loud and clear. So she, as she, kind of summarizes, she'll say, if you have evidence or something of specific nature that you wish to bring before me, feel free to do so. You can contact my staff and we can arrange another meeting, or you can submit your evidence to my staff and they will make sure it gets to me. But other than that, I suggest we stay out of Miele and the guild's business and let her manage her affairs on her own.
Yeah, we just, as councilmen, we just want to make, you're in charge. So as councilmen and councilwomen, of course, we just want to make sure that we are doing your bidding appropriately. Thank you.
She nods. She says, I am happy to hear that. And soon, before too long, I would like to sit on one of your counselor meetings. I have found myself quite busy so far, so I thank you very much for your service to our nation and the work that you've done on behalf of the council and making sure that things are running well here. I know that's not easy work, and you should all be commended for your efforts on the council. And as I said, within the next couple of months, I'd certainly like to sit on one of those sessions. I will simply try to observe. I just want to get a feel for how everything is going, and maybe I'll put in a word here or there of input, but I'll do my best not to be too much of a burden on you, she says with a slight smile.
You're not a burden. And I'll bow and I'm going to start motioning to leave.
Oh, we're going to a fancy wedding, by the way.
You notice she kind of looks towards you as you say this, Blixel. She'll say, "Oh, yes, I believe I did hear of that one. I'm afraid I cannot make it. That is coming up rather soon. Please give my best regards to the families that are getting wed, and should you happen to see Fiele Thosone, the Duchess there, please send my regards to her as well. I would like to meet her before too long."
You'll give her your best.
She gives you a smile. Have a great day, counselors. Wish you the best.
Yeah, we'll leave. And I just want to find a private place again and somewhere in the castle for all
Well,
of
the
us.
council chambers seem to be pretty private for you guys. You want to head over there?
Yeah. Well, guys, that went really well. I think we got our answer, right? Her allegiance seems to be just let the guild handle it. Not concerned about getting involved, and that's what I
Yeah.
sensed her allegiance is. So there we go. Well played, guys.
And I knew they replaced the guards, but I didn't realize it's with guild agents.
Is she here of her own volition?
Kind of hard to
Wow.
know with all the guards around.
I mean, I find it odd that she doesn't have guards that aren't at their beck and call. This feels more like a coup than it did before.
Yeah, you're right, Serena. It makes sense, right? Vin goes off the rails, it gets taken over. Who of course is going to take over the leadership is the guild. So we're not super surprised, but it feels good to know.
Well, I also think it's good that we let her know that we're open to discuss, right? So maybe someday she may realize that we're not, just beholden to the guild, right? So maybe she'll open up dialogue with us.
It will certainly take time to build her trust before that happens, but yes, there is the potential that she was only saying what she needed to in front of people who work for the guild as much as they work for her, in case it didn't come back to, in case any untoward information came back to me, Haley.
Yeah, no, they keep the door open. That's a good attitude. I wonder if the labor dispute will just magically go away in the next month or so.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. If there's no other discussion on this issue in particular, are you guys ready to let additional days pass by until the next event?
Yep.
Yes,
I
from
can't think of
Blixel.
anything. And then
Whoop, you kind of cut out there, Tabber. Were you trying to add anything else?
no, I just said that's good to go.
All right, sounds good. So the next few days pass by uneventfully so until we find ourselves on the 8th of the month. And I don't remember who rolled last time, but this is the next check-in to see how Catherine's mission is doing as she is trying to hunt down that thief who stole from Oread and subsequently killed Arthur. So who would like to roll me a d10 to see how well that's going?
I think I did it last time. I mean, I'll do it again since I was the one that hired her, I guess.
Okay, go.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
One
because
d10.
I've rolled good twice today. So
Hey.
All right. That is a success. So, yes, you guys will receive word that Catherine has abducted, or I guess captured is probably the better word, the thief. And
Apprehended.
apprehended. I like it. All right. She has apprehended him. And
Detained.
based on that roll, she caught him alive. He is completely bound up, essentially, and she is currently in the process of transporting him back to Carolinian.
Excellent.
That's
We should-
great news.
We should send word to Moriad.
Well, hang on. Let's wait on
Just-
that until we find out where the armor went. We have to. I suppose we could let him know that we have the thief, but I
yeah, may
think
as well
his
wait till we
primary
have all the
concern was
info.
the
Yeah.
heirloom.
That is true. All right.
And we can't just send him a text message. Like we gotta try to predict answering all his questions in one nice letter too.
Well, I can send a text message to Michael. I
Oh.
have his DMs, but not to his father.
Oh, Celine slid into Michael's DMs. I love it.
If you would like me to do that, I certainly can, just so that they have word that we have the thief, but we don't necessarily know where the armor is yet. We will have to interrogate him to find out.
Yeah, I think you should. It's been a while. It'd be nice for them to know that we haven't dropped the ball.
I mean, do you think it's creepy though? Should I like say hey first, or ask for coffee or something?
How are you? I don't know. I was just thinking
Emoji,
about you.
emoji.
Now, coffee is more creepy. Just give them the facts straight down the middle. But let's wait till we actually have the thief in in our possession, maybe in the jail.
Of course, it would be very bad for us if he managed to somehow slip away in transit.
All right, so it sounds like you guys are simply awaiting here in the castle until the return of Catherine back to Carolinian with the thief in tow.
By the way, I was just thinking that really aged myself when I said text him, and you're like, I'm in his DMs. It's a totally different genre of thinking.
It's Wizard Twitter, man.
It's close enough. I mean, it's close enough, though. All right, so we get to the next day, and we are now on the 9th of the month. Celine, you are still deep in the books trying to master the giant language at this point in time. So it's one of these situations where you've got your books up in your room, right? And you go and you kind of read it a little bit, and then you put it down for a little while. And then when you got more time, you're like, oh, I'm going to focus on this thing. I'm going to study once again, right? And you do the
I will
best you
point
can.
out, before you say anything else, I will point out that Saline is on record as having rigged her room with alarms every single day, just in case that becomes important.
Rigged her room with alarms every day. Okay, sure, yeah, that's possible. So,
Cast less every minute.
How I'm going to word this though is that based on this assassination attempt, randomly it's been determined to be you, Saline. So,
Of course.
one of these times when you were like, maybe you were wandering the halls of the castle, book in hand, moving from your room to another location, perhaps. You're like, yeah, where did I leave off here? Yep, and you open that page of your book, and as you do so, you notice this strange little kind of almost like a gas emerges from the book. Just a small amount, but it's definitely noticeable. And I'm going to need a Constitution saving throw.
All right. Do I have time to react as a hero point, or?
I would let you use a hero point, yeah.
I will happily use a hero point on this.
All right, we're adding
Constitution saving
2.
throw?
Yes, please.
And I will also spend inspiration if I need to.
All right, fair enough. All right, that is an 18. Are you good with that?
I think I'm okay with that.
Okay. The DC was 15. You have passed. This has a very strange odor to it. You notice this smell. You're like, oh, ugh, it's really bad. Go ahead and give me a blind check to see if you happen to recognize this, keying into any of your knowledge.
Remember to lick the pages and everything. That'll help you get a better understanding of it.
It's the book lady. She wants the job.
It's the
Apparently,
librarian.
yeah.
That's it.
You're pretty sure, Saline, this is a poison known as essence of ether. And when it is inhaled, oftentimes the person that inhales it is poisoned for a long period of time, up to 8 hours. And while poisoned in that way, they are unconscious. But you've passed, so you don't get enough of a whiff of it to drop unconscious.
I mean, I close the book and then I start figuring out where this book was, where did I get it from, who maybe had hands on it before. And so, yeah, I'll start thinking about those possibilities because she wants to know who's trying to kill her.
Absolutely, yes. Good things to think about. So, yes, I can certainly give you some more of those details. However, this is going to bring us into the response to the random event part of the mechanical part here. So I want to give you just like a high-level overview of how you can choose to do this, and those additional details that you're trying to gather might help you decide exactly what to do. But in general, the way you can respond to this is you can use a domain action to try to respond to this. For example, you could use like the espionage domain action to try to learn more about these specific things, gather knowledge, those types of things. That tends to be the most successful because you're actually using a domain action and spending resources, right? You don't have to do that, however. Your next option, and these are kind of like in descending order of likelihood to succeed. All right. Your next option is what's known as a dictate. So basically, your council like drafts up a response of what exactly you're going to do. And this doesn't require an action, but essentially you put the word out like, yeah, you want to know who had this book, when they had it, who passed if anybody saw anybody, you're kind of writing all of this out, and trying to gather this information, but you're doing this, as a dictate instead of as a full like action. Your next option is you can hire somebody who has a special skill set in handling these kind of things. It's known as a skilled lieutenant, and you basically put them on the job. You say, here are all the details that I have. I want you to figure this out and, come to a solution. The next option is an unskilled lieutenant, which means you basically hire anybody that you can find who doesn't have any kind of special skills in this, but they're around, and see what they can do to try to solve this issue. And your last option is you just ignore it. So keep that in mind. Those in descending order of likelihood to be successful. Is there any one that you're sort of leaning to right off the bat?
Well, I mean, first, of course, I would tell my party that an attempt was made on me, but I think she doesn't
Wait,
want
I
to
want you to roleplay that though first. I wanted to see how panicked Celine would be, almost assassinated by gas in her books.
Hey, it better gas than fucking a huge fucking monster breaking through the room or something.
Never to open a book ever again.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Who touched my books?
Bookophobia.
So I imagine you probably summon everybody to the council chambers, right? And you're kind of filling them in on like the specifics of what happened.
Yeah, she's trying to play it off cool, but everybody in the room knows that she's very much not cool with it,
If what you say is true about that poison, it has to be someone that's here in the castle, right? So it comes get you after you went unconscious.
Yeah, they could.
Wait,
Yep.
who doesn't like Celine? Like, what the hell?
Most
Yeah,
people.
but they thought it was going to be unconscious. Maybe it wasn't an assassination attempt. Maybe it was a kidnapping attempt. I mean, maybe they were waiting for her to go down.
Where they could then take me to a secluded location away from the castle to,
Probably my ex.
Oh, wait a minute.
I wonder if this is related to your grandparents' disappearance.
There's that too.
Very possible, actually. But there's a lot of unknowns that we don't know, and we have to do this carefully. I'm not going to ask that we spend governmental resources on this. The people need to be placated in Riverford before we can do anything else. But I would like potentially to hire someone to investigate this if possible.
Well,
I worry that like a public statement might give the wrong impression.
Well, I
Uh,
just got $400. I mean, I've never been this rich before. You can have all my money.
I don't necessarily want all of your money, but I would want
Oh,
someone relatively skilled on the job. I don't want to hire some random to look into this. But Blixel brings up an excellent point that someone on the inside. Uh, well, before I suggest that, where do I know where I got this particular book? Was this like from the public library, or was this from like our private collections in the castle?
So, because we're already partially through the month, my assumption is that when you started this month, you inquired at the library and said, like, I'm trying to learn Giant. What resources can you point me to? That sort of thing. And you got a couple of books from them, like maybe a tome, a couple of collections of papers, that sort of thing. You've read over these a couple of times. Think of this as like, you have to keep practicing, right? So you open it, it's like a rubric, you start practicing the language, you close it, you go to sleep, maybe the next day you pick it up, that sort of thing. So you've handled this book multiple times. And after, now I think I said it was the 8th of the month, that's when you notice the poison is on it. So you've had this in your possession and it's been in your room, poison hasn't been on it, and then suddenly it was.
Okay, so there's no chance that I just like didn't notice the poison the whole time.
No,
And
I would say
so it
certainly
must have been
not.
applied. It must have been applied while we were in the castle then. So yes, Blixel is onto something very important. That someone in the castle managed to somehow get into my room without triggering my alarms. So maybe it was one of you, because that's the only person who.
Well,
Those are the only
remember,
people who
alarms only last for 8 hours. So my assumption is when you're getting ready to go to sleep, that's when you're doing your alarms, right?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Right, okay.
So they couldn't have done it during the night. So it would have to be during the day while we were out on our duties. So
well, just remember they may not know that you opened that book. I mean, that's pretty, sensitive time. So maybe all of a sudden you're in your room and you pretend to collapse or something like that. Maybe they hear it, right?
do we
yes.
do we have a
The-
Yeah,
butler?
let's use her as bait.
The next step would be to retrieve the body, so to speak. So, I mean, they must have some method of knowing that would happen,
Well, you said it
or
may
when it
last
happened.
about 8 hours, right? So maybe they go in. I mean, who knows, right? I don't want to speculate too much, but I'm just saying they may not realize that you've already found their trap since you rolled very high on your Constitution saving throw.
I rolled a 10, but yes.
Oh, I could put you in a false state of death. Wait,
Ooh.
can I? I think I can. Hold up. What is this spell?
I could
Lethal
just
Does
do
it?
that by
Oh,
hitting
it's.
her several times.
Is it feign death?
There is a spell, Feign Death, yeah.
I have it, and it's a ritual level 3. It lasts 1 hour.
Love it.
But then what?
We
You
put
get
you out.
abducted, and we follow, and we kick the shit out of the person.
Yeah, we put you out in the hallway
Stare
with
tight.
like the book next to you, and you're feigning death.
We're just spitballing here.
And we're
I
and
don't
we're
know
around
about
and
that
we're
one.
around the corner.
I
Plan is
don't know
fully
about
developed.
that one. Any number of people could come across me and raise the alarm that the assassin would not.
Yeah, so what the heck was the assassin's plan? This is what we're gonna find out.
Put it on the whiteboard, Serena.
I feel like we should hire someone to
I'm
look into
sold.
this. I don't know
There's no
about.
bad. There's no bad
Let's
suggestions.
spring into action. The longer we wait, the less believable it'll be.
Ooh, can I
Is-
upcast it? Is it upcastable?
It's the best use of feigned death I've ever heard of.
I can't upcast. It is a great use of feign death, but I can't upcast it.
What I will say is I will give you like 100 points for creativity, but being the stickler for the rules guy. So the poison makes you unconscious. Feign death makes you appear to be dead, right? So most likely, if someone was like coming to collect her, they'd be like, "Holy shit!" Maybe they'd be confused, be like, "It worked too well. She's dead." right? Or maybe they'd be shocked. It's hard to say.
I'm glad the DM is pumping the brakes on this one. I see many ways in which this plan could go horribly awry.
I was
For
feeling
me
lack
in
of comfort
particular.
there, so I was like, well, let me just throw in this one little other detail.
But we'll never know which way unless we do it.
Well, I mean,
So we
Tavern.
hire someone to investigate it, I guess.
Wait, no, Tavern. You can knock her out, right? And she rolls a 1d4, right? And well,
You
all right,
are still in fireball range.
that
I'll
is
just let you know.
that is a bad idea. All right, don't put that on the whiteboard, Serena.
Look, there's a lot of different avenues we can explore. We can try to find the source of the poison. I mean, essence of ether, I'm not sure. That doesn't beat my AC.
I was rolling with advantage. I went to patient defense.
This essence of ether, there's a potential we could track down sellers in the city. We could or have someone track down the sellers in the city, see who has bought it recently. It doesn't seem like something the everyday ordinary citizen is going to go out of their way looking for. Um, I am saying there are ways to handle this without putting me specifically in mortal peril, and hoping that you guys are quick enough on the uptake to follow me to whatever.
Oh, I'm just saying you collapse in your room or something, and somebody like myself is hiding or whatever. And then when they come to collect your body, ha! I beat them up.
I mean, it's certainly a direct approach. I just don't
I love direct
understand.
approaches.
I just don't understand how the attempted assassin is going to know when exactly this occurred.
Yeah, that's the point, right? What if how is the assassin going to know that you're on quote unconscious? He's gonna sneak in your room somehow, unless it's a magic user that can, I don't know, somehow know that it worked. You could be in your
Right.
room at midnight, open a book, unconscious. Someone's got to crawl in at some point and see if it worked. So maybe no one's in peril. You're conscious and have your fireball prepared and everything else you need to do.
What time is it right now?
I'm assuming like midday-ish, like 2 p.m. perhaps.
So if they applied the poison and they thought that it was going to affect me and I was going to drop unconscious, that means they would have to somehow get into my room to collect me before 10 o'clock. Like when did the rounds happen in the soldiers?
You're
In the
But they
probably
may not know. They may not know how long it takes for you to read the book, right? I think what an important question would be is how long can that poison last in its current state?
That's exactly what I was just going to say, Bill. Spot on. That is an amazing question to be thinking about right now.
Okay. Then do any of us have knowledge about poisons?
You do. I know you do.
Based
I can
on
see
your
it in your eyes.
check,
I
not
recognize the
that
poison.
much.
Yeah.
Ah, damn.
I recognize the poison, but not enough about it to answer that. It is a good question, though. My
Yeah, because it lasts
assumption would
2
be that they
days,
would try
1
to.
day, 1 hour, right?
Yeah,
That's
my
the whole
assumption
thing.
would be that they would necessarily need to be sneaking around at night when they're less likely to be spotted.
All right,
So,
sweet. Go to your room. We got your back.
All right, guys,
This is the quickest way.
we're a
to
little bit
figure
after
out.
session time here, and it sounds like you guys are still percolating a response to this, right? So we'll pick up next week with this, but I want you to just keep in mind those potential options. It sounds like you guys are leaning towards, well, it sounds like Celine's leaning towards a skilled lieutenant. Like that's kind of what I'm hearing so far. But think about those decisions. And if there's specifics you got, like, do you guys want to personally get involved in this and try to turn this over yourself, like making this more of an adventure? Are you looking to, do that skilled adventurer, or skilled lieutenant, sorry, hire them and have them, go away with it? So it sounds like that's one vote for personal involvement.
I don't think Scooby Doo and the gang would let somebody else do it.
I mean, we can try that tonight, but if it doesn't work, like, are we just gonna do a stakeout every night until
No,
We
I,
think
I
the poison wears
good
off.
point, good point. But a one shot, one night deal, and then we can hire your skilled lieutenant.
Okay, but
Yes.
someone is hiding in the room with
Yes.
me in case they come in, notice that I'm not unconscious, and try to overpower me before anyone can react.
Perfect.
All right.
Deal.
So I will pick up next session then with the expectation we're continuing today, which is the 9th. We're going to continue this day out and play out the scenario and see what you guys can uncover about this potential assassin or poisoner, as they may be. We'll see what you guys are able to uncover. And then as a reminder, we're going to have some more days of potential events. You're going to expect Catherine to come back with that thief. You guys will be getting close to your next session, next domain action, next petitioner session, and then the wedding will be 4 days after that. So a lot of stuff to look forward to. Hope you guys enjoyed today's session. A lot of fun. We'll see you guys all next week.
Sounds good. See you.
We're good.
All right, good job, guys. That was fun.